away. Two skippers, Darvin Milan of Yorkshire and Alex Lees of Durham, for whom, given his Yorkshire associations, this will feel like almost something of a home game. And they're just having a quick chit-chat with the umpires before that all-important toss of a coin. Michael McCann, and alongside me today will be Ben Cliff, the Yorkshire bowler, a little bit later on. But first of all, Aaron Fox.
Good afternoon, Michael. Good afternoon, everybody tuning in to the Vertu live stream here on the Yorkshire CCC YouTube channel. It was looking like a glorious sun-drenched afternoon here in York. Unfortunately, the clouds have begun to roll into Clifton, but we hope that the weather is set to stay fair.
Confirmation of the news from the toss that Durham have won it and Alex Lees has elected to bowl. We can run you through the two teams. For Yorkshire, it is Adam Live, Darvin Milan, Will Luxton. Jonny Bairstow is in to play his first Vitality Men's Blast T20 game of the season, having shaken off a calf injury. James Wharton, Will Sutherland, who will, due to that toe injury, we're not expecting to bowl. Dom Bess Thompson is in as well, so that is another big addition for Yorkshire, a big boost, bringing in Jordan Thompson, who has had a niggle that's kept him out for a few weeks at the start of this Blast season. Jaffa Chauhan, Will O'Rourke, and then Jack White completes the 11 for Yorkshire. So a couple of alterations from that side that lost on Friday night.
Yep, and we're not really surprised, are we, by those alterations? You're bringing in Jonny Bairstow, who's one of the finest sons of Yorkshire, of course, a talismanic figure in that batting order, and Jordan Thompson, who has been on absolute flames in the past couple of seasons. Think back to last year, Yorkshire's leading wicket taker in the format. I think that a lot of people are excited to see those changes, and yeah, fingers crossed they'll put on a performance for this sellout capacity crowd at Clifton Park this afternoon.
Yeah, the men will be hoping that some sprinkling of winning stardust and luck from the women earlier this season comes in handy, because the Yorkshire women's team won here by 6 wickets with more than 16 overs to spare in a 50-over game against Leicestershire. Up against Yorkshire today, it is a Durham team who are hot in form. Yorkshire have 2 wins from 6 so far. Durham, meanwhile, better placed. We can have a look at the North Group table. Remember that it is 14 games across the qualifying section. That is how it sits right now. Northamptonshire Steelbacks defeated by Durham last time out, and that result pushes Durham up into 3rd on net run rate. Yorkshire second bottom and desperately in need of a win today to try and get back towards that mid-table pack, chasing, of course, a top 4 spot, which would bring qualification for the quarterfinals. But it is really very, very tight. Derbyshire Falcons have picked up a couple of wins, having lost their first 5, which means that from Durham in 3rd, you have 7 teams separated by just 1 win.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it, to be honest? The North Group, it's always so hotly contested and tightly fought. It's basically down to net run rate, and you look at those teams from 3rd to 6th, Durham, Bears, Notts, Leicestershire as well, all on the exact same number of points. And then, of course, the Rapids, Yorkshire and the Derbyshire Falcons just 1 victory behind. Of course, the caveat is you've got different teams having played different numbers of matches, but it's so tight at the minute.
Let's run you through the Durham team as well, which is unchanged from the side that got that win against Northants, captained by Alex Lees. He is ably assisted by Graham Clark, Colin Ackerman, Ollie Robinson, Ben Rain, Jimmy Neesham, Will Rhodes, of course, previously of Yorkshire as well, Zach Fulks, Nathan Souter, Callum Parkinson and Matthew Potts.
And again, it's the exact same 11 that we saw beat the table toppers at the moment, the Northants Steelbacks. So, yeah, no surprises there at all. Ryan Campbell going for the jugular. And we've already seen that result from the coin toss. Durham won it. They've chosen to have a bowl first. And a little bit earlier on, we sent out our very own Michael McCann to take a look at the surface here at Clifton Park. Here's what the pitch has to say.
So we've managed to get onto the square at York for a little sneak preview of the pitch with the players warming up behind us. And by all accounts, it is something of a belter. You think of outground wickets sometimes in England and you might think of some greenery or something that might suit the bowlers. But as we come down, you can see the grass is very dry thanks to some excellent weather across most of this summer so far. And it's very thin. There's not a lot here in truth, particularly for the seamers. You would think It might well grip and turn by all accounts, might do a little more for the spinners, but as we have a look at the pitch coming down it, this looks like the kind of wicket that if you're a batter, you fancy your chances on. We saw in the women's 50 over game that was played here earlier on this season that for the most part, it played pretty flat and true. So any kind of stereotype about the idea of it being a club ground or offering a bit more certainly doesn't seem correct. You look at it and it seems like the kind of pitch that in a T20 game batting first, you'd want at least 200 on the board. Both ends offering a similar amount of very dry, thin grass, not a lot for the bowlers to work with, though it might well turn just a little bit. So that is the track here at York, a track that by all accounts the batters are going to enjoy themselves on, and it's also worth taking into account the boundary dimensions, which are undoubtedly smaller than Headingley. As we look out towards the pavilion side, that is pretty accessible, given the power of the likes of Jonny Bairstow, and you think of for Durham, Alex Lees and Jimmy Neesham. There's plenty of players who'll be fancying their chances on this. David Milan, of course, in form for Yorkshire as well. And as we glance out towards the other side, which has also got the temporary stand, which will be full in not too long, again, boundary dimensions not on the high end. So in truth, here at York, it is the kind of pitch that regardless of whether you bat or bowl first, the batters will be fancying their chances. So that was a little look at the pitch earlier on. Yorkshire, of course, are wanting to bounce back from a Friday night defeat by 32 runs against the Bears. Classic game of T20, wasn't it, in terms of swinging one way and then the other, Aaron? 76 coming off the last 5 overs of that Bears innings. Probably the difference in the contest?
Yeah, to be honest, I would agree with that assessment, because up until that point, I mean, the Bears were well and truly on the ropes, 129 for 6, and it took a masterclass in finishing from Ed Barnard. He scored a career best 67 to ultimately swing the pendulum in the favour of the visitors. So, yeah, it was a disappointing defeat for Yorkshire. Has cut them slightly adrift, but as we've just seen with the table, it's so close. If they win today, and we severely hope that they do, of course, they're right back in contention. So those are the tight margins that we see in the North Group. And, yeah, we keep our fingers crossed that those mistakes from Friday can be corrected here on Sunday. Yep. Sorry, I've done a lot of cricket this week, Michael.
so many days, so much cricket. Every day's a cricket day. We're up to that part of the summer. We can take a look back at the best bits of that game on Friday night, and Will O'Rourke was one of the bright sparks for Yorkshire. 3 for 31. The New Zealand international is really starting to come into his own as this blast campaign goes on. Remember that today is actually his penultimate blast game for Yorkshire, because he'll play in this double header against Durham. Yorkshire meet Durham away next week as well, and after that is his blast campaign here done. But for now, let's have a look back at the best of Friday night, and after those highlights, an interview with Will O'Rourke. Charging into Latham. He's got something on this. It's got past Johan, and it will be the first boundary of the game out on the leg side. Short and paddled round the corner, and he has made the most of the free hit. One bounce for a bit. And Hill this time could have got a wicket. Oh, well, it's 6. So close, but the signal immediately, hence the slightly frustrated face, but it might well be out the very next ball. It is out the very next ball. So the mistake on the boundary from Revis doesn't matter too much for Yorkshire, because goes on the scoop, and that's very cleverly done by Mosley. Off the mark in style. Now he's facing Jack White. Comes down the track and hits that very hard and very far. Steps across very early and manages to paddle it through Latham right the way through. Bess is starting his over and his spell with a wicket. He's having an excellent blast on Bess, and he has yet another one. Yorkshire's top wicket taker in the competition so far. Gets his 10th from 4 from his first. And this time he is slapped through the covers for 4. Lovely shot from Hayne. straight at cover point. Hayne gone for 7. It's the first wicket of the match for Will O'Rourke, who's starting to settle into a nice groove for Yorkshire in the last week or so.
So I'm sure that's what they will be hoping, but that one is just swung round the corner for 4 runs, 4 very easy runs.
I think he is a fine white ball spin bowling option, and here he is. Barnard goes aerial on the reverse and smashes it all the way into the Western Terrace for 6. To Ed Barnard, what's he got in the locker? That one short and punched away through the covers by Barnard. It's going to be a chase for the fielder in the 2025 Vitality Blast, and that one has been swept very fine by Barnard. There'll be a chase on for the fielder in the One Day Cup fixture, and here he is bowling to Latham. That one has been skied. This should be a chance for the keeper. Luxton's running after it. It won't be Luxton. It'll be... That one just worked out towards the boundary for 4 there.
To the leg side.
Well, that one full. There's an appeal there from White. And it will be given LBW. Moeen going for the big shot. Looking to... That one is a full toss, and as a result, it's been dispatched there by Kai Smith. Gets off the mark. Yeah, it's a fine cricketing shot, that, from Kai Smith. How can Chauhan respond? Well, Smith advances down the track, slams it for 4 more runs.
It's caught behind.
Definitely something to watch out for here as O'Rourke bowls to him again. That one flailed. See what Best has in the tank again. Looks to zip that one in, and it's just been bludgeoned down the ground.
Best does this time.
Well, Garton, he's skied this one. Fielders circling round, they won't get there.
Corner, that would have been a potential catch as he turns a reverse slap round the corner for 4 runs.
How can Best respond? Again, drops it short. Garton puts it in the air, goes all the way for 6 more runs.
Youngsters in their Yorkshire kit, giving us some dance moves. And meanwhile, some funky moves with the bat from Barnard to get to 50. And a fine way of doing so. Just opens the blade, uses the pace of Hill. It's been a fine 50 from Ed Barnard. And 2 to be precise. Mistimed that slow ball. I say mistimed, it's still muscled for 4. Garton too much room here. Garton sliced this away straight at deep cover point and gone. Makes room towards Long On and over Long On's head for 6. Back and underway. Barnard, who has called for a bit of treatment the previous ball, has managed to slice the next one away behind square on the offside for 4. Trace just 138. Down the ground, mistimed. And Best coming around. Like almost everything that seems to go in his path this season, of course, Don Best is going to catch it. Right. And he does step into gear, and he absolutely mashes one down the ground for 6.
To go.
Well, he goes again. This is going to take some stopping even for Best. Nothing Best can do. He's sent long off, mid-off back, and he's brought point up, but it won't matter when you bowl a ball like that. It's a filthy full toss and cover her up. And instead he's just paddled it for 4 through fine leg.
The innings.
Well, they're going to have to try and push for 2. Sutherland with the throw, and they have managed to get 2. So 205 for 8 is what Bears finish up with.
That one pitched up a little bit fuller and dispatched by Will Luxton. First bound. How can George Garton respond after that? Again, pitches up full. Moeen Ali dives like a goalkeeper, can only parry it.
Over 6 in the power play.
Well, that one has just flashed off the outside edge of Will Luxton's bat. Ali again, this one shorter, picked up all the way for 6. Well, this one has gone a mile up in the air. Shouts of catch it. It's Moeen Ali underneath it. And it's taken. Hassan Ali gets out the chainsaw celebration. Yorkshire lose a first wicket. Well, that one is just squeezed off the inside edge. It's racing away to the boundary, and it will be 4.
Shot.
Well, that one should be 4 more runs. It is. It's just cracked away.
In 2010 and 2012.
Well, he's not going to get a wicket with that ball because that one has been absolutely clobbered.
Women's head coach.
Well, again, Milan loads up for a big hit. It is six.
He's really fired that in, and it's been sent back with interest by Milan.
And then all it takes is for the middle to lower order to wag. Who knows, you can still be in with a shot. That one is not timed as well. There's a chance on here for the fielder. Coming around, it's been dropped.
Well, if there's any player in this competition this season who you do not want to give a life to, context about how important that drop catch is. As Life this time goes inside out and hammers that through extra cover for 4. Foot on the pedal to get there. Holds that one back a little bit more and gets live. That's so clever from Moeen Ali. Slowing it right down, tempting and teasing the big swoosh across the line. And instead goes more conventional back foot cover drive punch, and on this quick outfield it goes for 4. He's absolutely pushing it over. That's hot to bring at the nerves from man. Not going to miss out on that. Although this time from Lintock, and Milan has absolutely smashed that. It's another crowd catching chance. Since this chase is quite Milan dependent. And will go to his 50. He might well go to it with 4. He will go to it with 4. It's yet another 50 for David Milan. Briggs by Garton off the bowling of Briggs on 29 as Wharton goes down the ground. That's a big, big 6. His chance, really. That is absolutely smoked into the Western Terrace. It's dropped. That's very, very, very clever from Milan.
3 figures. Oh dear.
Milan skied this up. Tough chance from short fine leg running back, and Hassan Ali holds on.
Well, you want somebody to come in and hit some quick runs.
That's absolutely minced over the head of long off for 6. He'll bowl out here against Sutherland. He's just whipping him away through fine leg, 4 runs.
Bowling here to Sutherland. Sutherland advances down the track. Has he got enough on this one? Yes, he has. It's 6 runs down the ground. Alex Davis. It's Mosley again, darts that one in. It's aerial. Fielder comes across. It's Sam Hain who takes the catch. Well, Hill goes for the ramp. He may have found Hassan Ali, who's dropped it. Hassan Ali has dropped the catch, coming across from fine leg. He can't believe it. The Bears in disbelief as well. And George Hill.
Wharton down the ground. That'll be out. Safe as houses from Garton, who was picked out. And you sense that might well be Yorkshire's last hope departing.
So George Hill, it's full. It's worked out towards deep points. The Bears are celebrating. The visitors have beaten Yorkshire by 32 runs at Headingley. It is a 3rd win on the...
Vertu, official partner of Yorkshire County Cricket Club.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's obviously a pretty fast track. Outfield's lightning and can be a smaller side, so can be a tough one to bowl out. I think we obviously didn't close out how we would have wanted to there at the end. I think our last 3 overs went for plenty, and you know that's something we got to look at as a bowling unit and try to close out games better out here. But it is tough. It definitely is tough.
How did you think it then went with the bat? Because when Mallow was in, I mean, we know the form he's in. You looked pretty well placed to chase it, but it just didn't work out once he'd gone.
Yeah, definitely. I think nature of T20 cricket, that run rate gets up and the bowlers bowl well, and it just keeps climbing and pressure mounts, and didn't really fall our way at the end there. But yeah, we showed a lot of promise, both bat and ball, throughout most of the thing. We probably just didn't close out as well as what we would have wanted to.
Even with that 205 total on the board, or 206 target as it was, were you quite confident that you could chase that?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've seen so far all the scores, first inning totals have been over over 200. So yeah, knew it was definitely chaseable, but anytime you're over 200, it's a tough challenge.
Two overseas players had fairly big contributions in the game. Yourself with 3 wickets. How did you feel you bowled?
Yeah, it was all right. I think, fresh wicket, it was coming through nicely. Tried to run hard, just bowl hard, and I guess nature T20 cricket, some days it comes off, some days it doesn't. So it was nice to get a few today, and disappointing not to get over the line.
And then Hassan with ball and bat. I mean, that 22 off 8, as you were talking about, was key, and then he's closed it out with a couple of wickets there.
Yeah, definitely. He's world class. He's been around for a long time now, and he's played a few seasons over here. So he's a classy operator, and went really well for them today.
4 defeats, two wins out of 6 games. You go into Sunday, you've got a chance to bounce back quickly.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the nature of it. It all happens thick and fast out here. So got a few more games before that wee break, and it would be nice to get a few wins over the line and sort of even ourselves out and have another crack at the back end.
It's a home game, but it's going to be a different dynamic with it being York. I know the guys have played there in Championship cricket before, in one-day cricket, but never in T20, so that's going to be an interesting challenge.
Yeah, definitely. I think going to another home ground gives us another advantage. A lot of their guys probably wouldn't have been there too much, so we'll take that, what we know, out of there, and yeah, put it best foot forward.
So that was the thoughts of Will O'Rourke earlier on. He actually also got asked about playing at York. And he said it's going to be a sellout crowd. That's pretty cool. That's the beauty of having a few home grounds. You get to show off a few of the different locals. Hopefully we can put on a show for them with it being a tight ground. The crowd will feel like they're right on top of us. If we can get ahead of the game and the crowd gets into it, it can be a massive advantage for us. Well, one thing that no doubt is a massive advantage for Yorkshire is having a certain Jonathan Mark Bairstow back in the lineup. He once represented York, now back here playing for Yorkshire. He's a close friend of the York Cricket Club secretary, Nick Kay. They both went to the same school, St Peter's, which is a stone's throw away from the ground here, which you see resplendent in sunshine. We couldn't have asked for much better from the weather. A full check on that Yorkshire team sees 2 changes from the side that lost on Friday night. Adam Live, Durham Land captaining, of course, Will Luxton, Bairstow, James Wharton, Will Sutherland on best. Jordan Thompson is the other change to come back in, and what an asset he will be. Chappa Trahan, Will O'Rourke and Jack White. So 2 to drop out are the 2 all-rounders, Matthew Revis and George Hill. So the side will take a bit of recompositioning, and we expect Bairstow to open, it's fair to say.
We do, yeah. So we'll wait and see whether or not that graphic that you can see on screen will be the final batting order. But yeah, it would be great to see Jonny Bairstow opening the batting in a Yorkshire shirt. I mean, one of the greatest sons of this fine county. And you could hear the reaction as soon as his name was called by Richard, our PA today. The crowd just erupted, didn't it? You could hear the reaction. Everybody here is so excited to welcome back a legend of these parts.
Yeah, stoked, I think it's fair to say, was the one-word summation of this capacity crowd here at York when Bairstow's name was read out on the PA. 2 wins from 6 from Yorkshire, who could really do with a victory here at the start of what is a Durham double-header. Remember that they will meet these very same opponents away from home in 5 days' time on Friday the 20th of June at Seat Unique Riverside. And speaking of Durham, let's have a look at how the visitors line up. Alex Lees, the skipper, Graham Clark, Colin Ackerman, Ollie Robinson, Ben Rain, Jimmy Neesham, Will Rhodes, Zach Fulks, Nathan Souter, Callum Parkinson and Matthew Potts. 3 wins from 5 so far for Durham. They won at the Bears by 3 wickets. They lost on the final ball by 4 wickets at home against Lancashire. They then lost by 6 runs at Leicestershire, but have bounced back very nicely with 2 wins when defending. So probably no surprise that Alex Lees has won the toss and decided to bowl today. They beat Durham at home by 16 runs, and then Durham beat Northants by 15 runs on Friday. And that, as a result, in particular, gives a real sense of confidence, doesn't it? When you go and play a side who've won 6 from 6 and you take them out as Durham did.
Yep, it really does. And something else which just immediately stands out with regards to Durham, for me at least, is the bowling. There's a plethora of options at the disposal of Alex Lees. So you've got 2 excellent spin bowlers in Nathan Souter, he's a right arm leggy, Callum Parkinson, left arm orthodox. gets wickets in the power play. He did that against the Bears at Edgbaston, and that got Durham onto winning ways. As for Ben Raine, I think he's one of the most underappreciated seam bowlers in the county circuit. You have the keeper stood up, you'll see that Robinson will come up to the crease, and Ben Raine tends to just nip it back, so we could see some stumps sent flying. Then of course you've got Jimmy Neesham and Zach Fawkes, the two New Zealanders, excellent seam bowlers, and finally of course the England international Matthew Potts.
Yeah, it's going to be a formidable opponent today for Yorkshire, a side in form, and we've picked out as our two to watch for Yorkshire a couple of players who are going to be particularly key early in the contest, you sense, with Durham winning the toss and choosing to bowl. The first selection, something of an obvious one, really. Jonny Bairstow, 11,500 runs or so for England in 287 appearances across all formats. 12 Test tons, 11 ODI centuries, 4 domestic T20 hundreds, and of course, he and Joe Root are the only survivors still in the Yorkshire squad that were part of the only Yorkshire team to ever get into a Vitality T20 men's blast final. That was back in 2012. Bairstow, part of the 11 that lost against Hampshire. Of course, Root is still on Yorkshire's books, but Yorkshire see very little of him. But what an asset to have Jonny Bairstow back. Red Bull captain this season, of course, but missing at the start of the Vitality Blast due to that call-up for the Mumbai Indians in the Indian Premier League, where he had a couple of impressive games, even as they didn't quite win the title. He's had that calf niggle. He netted very impressively at Headingley on Friday for more than half an hour on one of the squares near the Eastern Terrace, and a lot of people saw that and thought, yep, every chance he's back on Sunday, and now he's back.
Yeah, and what a fine sight it is. Jonny Bairstow, synonymous, isn't he, with T20 cricket in this country. And I must say, Michael, a little bit apprehensive here in the commentary box, because we are in the danger zone as far as Jonny Bairstow is concerned, known for those massive pulverising sixes. So, yeah, fingers crossed that he can put on a show for this crowd today, because, as we said beforehand, this crowd was electric. They really want him to score some big runs, and talking of almost icons and talismanic figures for Yorkshire, Jonny Bairstow certainly fits that bracket.
And another player who's been in the runs for Yorkshire this season is, of course, their T20 captain, David Malan, who, even by his excellent standards, is having some campaign. Scores of 69 not out, 88, 58 and 65 in his last 4 T20 innings after a slightly slow start to the blast season. He only scored 4 in his first 2 innings before that, but my goodness me, is he in gear. Strike rate of 176 per 100 balls this season, his best ever in a blast campaign. Statistically, the 37-year-old is having his best ever English domestic T20 blast season so far, and his pedigree, of course, is well known. Ranked the number 1 T20I batter in the world from 2020 through to 2021. He held that spot for almost an exact calendar year, and an England T20 World Cup winner in 2022. So with Durham winning the toss and choosing to bowl, Yorkshire fans will hope that Bairstow and Malan can get into their destructive best.
Most definitely, and the standout metric there for me is the strike rate, 176. That is no mean feat by any stretch of the imagination, and even when Malan was the ranked number 1 batter in world cricket, one of the great criticisms was the scoring rate in an England shirt, and you look at him so far for Yorkshire this season, 0 problems in that capacity. He's been smashing runs for fun. He's currently the leading run scorer in the entirety of the 2025 Vitality T20 Blast. So I'll tell you what, if he gets going today, we could see plenty of runs on the board for the White Rose.
Yeah, David Malan with 284 runs to his name. The next best is Keaton Jennings with the Red Rose, who has 266. It will be Malan and Live to open. There was a lot of chat as to who it might be, with Bairstow coming back into the side. And David Malan has had an excellent blast so far, but Adam Live has not quite hit the heights that he might have wanted to, and he's alternated often the spot at 2 or 3 with Will Luxton, but it's going to be the 2 left-handers, Live and Malan, to open up. And you would imagine we're going to see Jonny Bairstow at 3 or 4 potentially. Yorkshire looking to put a big score on the board. You would want at least 200 here. The boundaries are not particularly long in terms of length, and the pitch looks on the flatter side. Great to have your company wherever you are across the world. Zach Fawkes has got the ball in his hand. Those blast stats for Adam Lyth so far this season has 106 runs at 17.67. So Lyth still looking for a bit of form. He made 13 off 17 batting at number 3 on Friday night. Power play time, of course. There's a deep third and a deep square leg as we get ready for the first ball of the contest to come from the City end. Straight to short third. No run there for Lyth, who has a best this season in the blast of 38 off 24 at Worcestershire in game 2, but often has not quite reached the excellent heights that we're so often used to seeing from the 37-year-old. Sliced away. Well, give him a little bit more credit. He definitely opened the face there Live, and there is Will Rhodes in front of us here. Deep backward square. Beg your pardon, sort of a deep backward point, but he wasn't going to get round to that. And that, again, just shows what we were saying pre-match. The boundary dimensions here are pretty short, and that outfield is pretty quick.
It is, and we saw this in the women's game in the Metrobank One Day Cup. As soon as it just skids off the surface, it is lightning fast here at Clifton Park. So let's see how Zach Fawkes can respond after that one. Well, he's been drilled through the covers. That is a quintessential Adam Lyth cover drive. That is glorious from Yorkshire's all-time leading T20 blast run scorer, and back-to-back boundaries, exactly the kind of tempo-setting tone that the home side would have wanted. Yorkshire 8 for none after 3 deliveries.
And it's a bit of a nerve settler as well for Lyth. We mentioned that he's not quite having the kind of season he's wanted, but he has back-to-back boundaries here, so suddenly pressure on the bowler. Oh, a beautiful response. It almost finds the outside edge of Lyth's bat. Great to have your company wherever you are across the world. Do let us know on the YouTube live chat where you're watching from and enjoying a peach of a delivery from Fawkes there.
Yeah, that was a fine seed there from the Kiwi. I was just watching there, Michael, in terms of shape. There wasn't too much in terms of lateral movement. It's just kissed the seam off of this wicket, but it does look like an absolute belter for the batting side.
Cut away by Lyth. It's a favoured area of his against pace. And appropriately, Durham have got one of their 2 fielders out for it. Milan on to strike now. We mentioned just before that first ball how excellent his form has been. He'll hope to take that into this game at York. A first ever senior Yorkshire T20 fixture being played on this ground. Of course, Headingley is preparing for the Test match, which is coming fast around the corner next Friday. And those statistics, which we were alluding to before, are excellent from Milan. He actually, in his last 4 innings, has 280 runs at 93. Facing up to Fawkes here. LBW appeals and given. David Milan is gone first ball. He's been in golden form for Yorkshire recently, but the home side's T20 captain is out for a golden duck. A massive blow early doors for Yorkshire, and Zach Fawkes strikes.
Well, he does, and that is a huge moment potentially in this game. Zach Fawkes, he's responded really well, hasn't he, after those consecutive boundaries against Adam Lyth, and you can hear now through our FX mic. Guess who's entering the middle? It is, of course, Jonny Bairstow.
Yeah, hopefully we can just get one more look at that LBW from the camera that is right behind the bowler's arm. Milan just shuffling across a little. And the dreaded finger of doom goes up. So out to the wicket comes Jonny Bairstow. And Yorkshire very much need his red-hot best. He was impressive in that 2-game IPL stint. Yorkshire fans will hope that he can carry that on into Yorkshire men's T20 blast action.
Absolutely, and already a change of approach here from the captain, Alex Lees. He's going straight away to some left-arm finger spin. It will be Callum Parkinson from the rugby ground end.
Just whipped away. 2 was the immediate call off the bat from Live. And it will be a pretty comfortable 2, cut off by Rhodes, just in front of us. If we seem a little uncertain until we get that replay from behind the bowler's arm about LBWs and amounts of swing or spin, it's because we're a cow corner for a left-handers hitting arc from this over. So we're pretty much for the entirety of the game going to be either effectively sort of a deep third, deep kind of backward point, or very much in the danger arc. You can see us up here. Great to have your company wherever you are across the world for this one. We're on the sunny balcony at York, and what a sight it is for cricket. And what you can't quite see from that camera angle of us, that's much more important and interesting, is opposite us, the packed temporary stand, which we'll get you a shot of shortly. It's looking resplendent. So that's a conventional block, not something you see too often in T20. Jonny Bairstow just having a sighter. Bairstow, who played just one last game for Yorkshire in 2023 and didn't play for Yorkshire in this competition last season, but this season is into his work for Yorkshire in the Blast. Picked up the length so quickly, rocked back, cuts for 4. Bairstow off and running.
And off and running in spectacular style, as is often the case with Jonny Bairstow. It's that lovely, fluent flash of the blade, just carving it away for 4. Excellently get off the mark.
Just hold that back a little more. Big out of move from Bairstow. Definitely not one there. Rare this for Bairstow. Didn't in this competition in 2022 or 2024. But he might well be gone. It's gone 6 feet to mid-off. Huge of from Campar. So aware of value of it. It's a really impressive diving catch. Come for Matthew Potts and Callum Parkinson. Pick a huge gap of Jonny Bairstow. Gone for just 4. For 2.
That goes back into what speaking about in that game at Edgbaston. Can't get so many wickets in power play. Through shots that because they've got fielders up circle. Play the areas could get up and under. So it's a great catch in that from Matthew Potts. That is another massive moment in this Yorkshire 16 for 2 and is the finest players in the country. As a result, Will Luxton is the new man in the crease. He comes in at number 4 for the White Rose.
A couple of people in the YouTube live chat saying, please provide chairs for the commentators. Now, we're all good. Don't worry about us. Much more important what's going on in the middle. And it's to be standing up with a great view on the balcony here at York. Luxton is out there at the non-strike as the wicket's fallen off the final ball of the over. As Live is leaving that one alone. That's the first wide of the day. You actually can't quite fit a chair up here in the commentary box at York. It's the kind of commentary box that an estate agent, if it was a house, would describe as cosy. But we wouldn't have it any other way. It's fantastic to be here. And what a sight, what a setting. But not what a start for Yorkshire so far. They're in a bit of trouble. Need Live to step up. Live this time straight at mid-on. It's now up to this pair to rebuild. Not ideal for the home team. The 2 players who are probably most looked at for runs in the lineup have both gone very cheaply.
Not only that, both of our ones to watch before the match started.
If you believe in the curse of the commentator, then the 2 to watch selected have brought the bad luck upon Milan and Bairstow. Live won't get a run there. I would say in our defence, if you're a Yorkshire supporter looking to apportion blame, there's been plenty of other times across both the men's and women's team this season where the 2 to watch that have been picked have gone on to perform admirably in the fixture. For context, if you're maybe just joining, Yorkshire with 2 wins from 6, Durham with 3 wins from 5. So after this game, both teams will be near enough at the halfway point of their Blast campaign, 14 in total. This has gone very, very high. It's going to take some catching. It will land just inside the rope and go for 4. Well, that is a bit of luck. Yorkshire looking to counter-attack in the power play. And Live getting a fortuitous 4.
Well, we're just taking a look on the replay of that. It just held in the air, didn't it? The wind seemed to pick up a great amount as that ball started hurtling into the sky, but in the end you can see the short nature of these boundaries. All it takes is one bounce and it goes for 4 runs. Absolutely no chance there for Will Rhodes to come across and cut that ball off.
Short, much more convincing shot this time, cut by Live straight at point for 1. So one positive for Yorkshire fans so far is that Live is getting into his work. He has 17 off 11. He's got 17 of the 22 that have been scored. Yeah, it wasn't in any way a drop chance, but it was just one of those, particularly in professional cricket, when the ball hangs in the air that long, you normally expect that either it's going to be a catch or at the very least a desperate chance at a catch being taken, but a bit of luck for Live. Luxton just guiding that away. Clever touch shot. That's a lovely way to get off the mark for Will Luxton, who did get a T20 career best. 24 ball 50, made 62 against Leicestershire in Yorkshire's first win of the campaign, and how Yorkshire fans would love him to repeat some of that here.
Most definitely. He's a very punchy and power-packed player, is Will Luxton. Loves to score those big 4s and 6s.
Luxton that time gets himself in a little bit of a tangle. Yeah, one thing to note with Luxton, as that's the end of the 3rd over, 26 for 2. He looks like quite a slightly built lad compared to some of his teammates, but he can hit a long ball. That Leicestershire innings really did start to see him show in first team colours what he's all about. He got his maiden 50 over ton last season, 105 not out against Warwickshire in the One Day Cup, and I know he's one that plenty of Yorkshire think has got a big future. Live facing Parkinson, still in the power play. Does he look to be aggressive? That time he's content just to work it away for 1.
Well, the wind just picking up again here at York. Apologies if it is slightly overwhelming at times on the FX mic. Slightly blustery and breezy here in the north of England. A few clouds overhead. I mean, the sunshine is peering through now and again.
It's just nibbled away. Definitely no run there. Straight to square leg. A few people in the YouTube live chat just asking about if Yorkshire have played a T20 here before. They have not. This is Yorkshire's first men's T20 at senior level at this venue. So that's just nibbled away by Luxton for 1. Well, Luxton, who kept in the game on Friday night, but we'd expect Jonny Bairstow to take the gloves today. Now he's back in. Parkinson with his 2 out on the onside. And one of them might be in business here. It's swung out towards deep mid-wicket, and it's taken. It's a regulation catch for Will Rhodes, once of Yorkshire, of course. It is a second power play wicket for Callum Parkinson, and Yorkshire are in all sorts of bother here. Live, who was starting to try and regain a bit of his touch, has to go for 18, trying to clear the deep mid-wicket fielder.
And that's the danger again. Yorkshire, unfortunately, have fallen into the trap of trying to hit Callum Parkinson out of the attack. It was there to be hit. It's just held up in the air, didn't quite get the cleanest of connections, and in the end, Will Rhodes, he's such a good boundary rider. He was never going to drop that. So a 3rd wicket falls already for Yorkshire. It's definitely not the start that any of this capacity crowd, or indeed anybody tuning into the stream, would have hoped for, but there are still batters in the shed, of course, one of which is James Wharton. We speak about Will Luxton being that punchy, explosive player. James Wharton with the ramps, the paddles, the big heaves out towards deep mid-wickets. It's just a case now of a slight period of consolidation for the White Rose after this somewhat shaky start.
Yeah, everyone knows that statistic about what happens when you lose 3 wickets in the power play. Wharton's first ball is a respectful block. When you lose 3 wickets in the power play, the the economy collapses, unemployment rises, there's floods, tsunamis, and there's something like a 99% chance that you lose the game. I'm only over-exaggerating a little for comedic effect, but you get the point. As Wharton has pulled that away, picked it up very early, sort of cross-batted swat through the offside to get his first boundary.
Yep, it's a vicious shot, that, isn't it, from James Wharton? Dismissive, I think, and Jimmy Neesham, he'll look back on that. He's a good fielder. He'll be slightly regretting not getting the right angle of approach there. You could just see went slightly late and didn't quite get the correct trajectory with the dive, but Yorkshire won't care one iota. The home side 32 for 3 after 4.
Yeah, Yorkshire will be looking at Luxton and Wharton, the two young'uns, to help them rebuild. Wharton does have a 50 in this competition this season, 58 off 29 in the opening men's T20 Blast game, which was a defeat and high-scoring thriller against Northants. He made 37 last time out, or 32 in a failed chase against the Bears on Friday. For now, it's Luxton facing up. Luxton with a nice flowing square drive. Deep backward point comes in and fields busily to keep it to 1. Folks continuing. It's not too often these days that you see someone kept on right through a power play, but it's working for Durham right now.
It is, and this is the luxury of those seam bowling options that Alex Lees has at his disposal. Still got Neesham, Rhodes, and of course Matthew Potts still to go.
Definitely isn't going to get one for that, Luxton. Yorkshire, of course, much like Durham, one of the 4 teams left after Gloucestershire's win of the Blast, who are still yet to win this competition. Durham reaching finals day in 2008 and 2016. They lost in the quarterfinals last season at Surrey after finishing 4th in the North Group. Sliced away. I think he was trying to get that more through backward point, but it flies off the outside edge for 4. Bit of luck for Yorkshire, and they need it.
They do. It's an interesting shot, though, because there is a man out on the fence up towards the rugby ground. So there is a gap, admittedly, but if you splice it a little bit too far to the right, that fielder suddenly comes into play. So, yeah, in the end, 4 runs, they all count. And as for Yorkshire, yeah, they could do with these two putting on quite a significant partnership.
That's going to go away through a similar area for Wharton for 4. Definitely didn't mean that. There was a look around and a wry smile from James Wharton, who gets back-to-back boundaries against folks who can give himself the tiny consolation of 2 moral victories in a row.
Was just about to mention those 2 words, the moral victory. Something which bowlers up and down the country, seamer or spin bowler, will be well aware of. It still feels bad, though, doesn't it? You want your wickets, you want those great deliveries to give you rewards.
Wharton this time manages to avoid nicking that one through to the keeper, living something of a charmed life in this over, James Wharton, as he settles into his work. I know Graham Hardcastle, well-respected cricket journalist, was saying that Yorkshire's management rate him incredibly highly. Believe he's not a million miles away from England honours. Had something of a breakthrough campaign last season. Born in Huddersfield. Been at Yorkshire since the under-13s. James Wharton, who's facing up. He's just getting one to the left of cover point. It's interesting, quite a few people in the YouTube live chat asking about rare is Ruturaj Gaikwad. He's not playing today, of course, because his contract with Yorkshire hasn't started yet. But for those unfamiliar, Gaikwad has been signed for the latter part of the season. So we'll see plenty of him in the Metrobank One Day Cup and the Rothesay County Championship. Gaikwad, for those unfamiliar, captain of the Chennai Super Kings, has a T20I ton for India against Australia. Gaikwad himself saying, I know how important it is that I hit the ground running at what will be a crucial time of the season, with some vital games in both competitions. Anthony McGrath, Yorkshire head coach, understandably delighted to have his services later on in the campaign. As the new over from Parkinson starts with Wharton getting one. And it is worth mentioning on the sense of overseas players, this is the penultimate Blast game for Will O'Rourke. So there's still Will Sutherland throughout the whole of the group stage. So that's a gain down the ground for 1. But O'Rourke will play one of the 2 upcoming county championship games for Yorkshire. So he'll play either in the match against Nottinghamshire at Trent Bridge or against Essex here at York. And that will be his time with Yorkshire done. As Wharton absolutely belts that down the track. He's very strong, straight, and he shows it there once again. It's 2 full from Parkinson. It's in the slot and he's punished.
Yep, and this is exactly what James Wharton is all about. Sounded like a gunshot, didn't it? Off the middle of the blade. That is a cracking strike from the Yorkshire number 5, and he's a little bit chipping that one up in the air down towards the mid-on fielder. It's Jimmy Neesham doing the fielding on that occasion. Yeah, Wharton does deal in boundaries, and we're just seeing a change in field as a result of those previous shots. Will Rhodes comes up into the circle. Sorry, it's Matt Potts who comes up into the circle. Jimmy Neesham drops back onto a long on position.
That's a respectful block. It's been excellent work from Parkinson. Picked up 2 big wickets in this power play, which particularly with the pitch looking a good one and the boundaries not too long. That scoreboard favouring Durham right now as Wharton cuts away for 1. And that is the end of the 5th over. 44 for 3 off 5 is what the scoreboard is still lagging slightly behind on here. Yorkshire lagging a little bit behind where they would want to be as well. Scoreboard catching up now, 49 for 3 off 5.
Well, that is the end of the power play, isn't it, for Yorkshire? Losing those 3 wickets.
Off 6, beg your pardon.
Yep, off 6. It has now just updated. So as a result of that, fielders now allowed outside of that inner circle. And for the first time today, we're going to see some leg spin. It's Nathan Souter, the Aussie-born leg spinner, used to ply his trade for the Saxes of Middlesex, now up in the northeast for Durham.
And I know his head coach, Ryan Campbell, has been banging the drum for him to be in and around the England setup.
Here's Souter bowling again here. That one's slightly shorter to Wharton. Well, call of 2. They will run back, scampering through to the ripple of applause from the Yorkshire faithful here at Clifton Park. Good second run that, and will also bring up the 50 for Yorkshire here in the 7th over. But yeah, just to echo that sentiment, Michael, Nathan Souter is a serious operator.
Yeah, it was interesting. He got mentioned in Durham's pre-season T20 preview. 43 wickets in the last 2 blast seasons. And with a T20 World Cup, of course, coming up in India and Sri Lanka during the early stages of next year, it feels like a key campaign for the 32-year-old if he wants to make an impression on those that make the selections. So again, that will be 1. He's got an interesting field here. He's got short, fine leg, and then pretty much everybody else is on the leg side boundary. So he's either Wharton's got to improvise and back away, which he does sometimes do against spinning and look to go through the offside, or he's got to clear those leg side fielders. That's the dilemma.
It's just a nice whippy shot, isn't it, from Wharton down the ground. Another single keeps that scoreboard ticking along. Yeah, it is. It's a fascinating field. So 3 boundary riders on the onside. Then he's got a deep point and also a slightly wideish long off. But as we know, James Wharton, ever so powerful. It's not him on strike, though. It's Will Luxton on this occasion, and he just works that out into the mid-wicket region. Will just be another single.
Mentioned that these 2 sides are 2 of the 4 to not have won this competition so far. Of course, Yorkshire runners-up in 2012. Losers against Durham in the semi-final in 2016. That was back when Alex Lees was Yorkshire captain and Jason Gillespie was Yorkshire head coach. Of course, Lees now skippering Durham. And Yorkshire loses in the semi-finals against the Red Rose of Lancashire after winning in the quarter-final thanks to that clutch Jordan Thompson death over by 1 run at Surrey. And right now, you sense Yorkshire might need some more miracles with the ball from Thompson because they're behind where they want to be with the bat. 55 for 3 off 7, under 8 and over on a pitch and ground that is optimised for high scoring.
Yeah, and we will see a first look at Matthew Potts then from the rugby ground end bowling here Straight away, big appeal, and given. He's wrapped Luxton in front of the stumps, and Yorkshire have lost a fourth. Luxton trapped LBW, first ball from Matthew Potts, who starts exactly how his captain would have wanted him to. And that is a big blow for the White Rose. Luxton, as we know, a very capable and destructive boundary hitter. But his race is run for this afternoon. He departs, and on in his place will be the Australian all-rounder Will Sutherland. We're just taking a look at the replay there. Potts and Robinson were absolutely adamant.
Yeah, from first look, it seems pretty salmon and trout, to use some rhyming slang. Just shaping in. Maybe height was an issue, but that's me really trying to find some kind of mitigating circumstances on the batter's behalf. In truth, it's excellent bowling from Potts. That kind of nagging, persistent line, kept the stumps in play, bit of movement. Now comes Will Sutherland, who we won't really see with the ball, we don't expect later on, due to that toe injury he's nursing. He has a half century for Yorkshire, 58 off 30 on debut in that high-scoring game against Northants Headingley, including 4 sixes in 5 balls against the bowling of his fellow Australian Guthrie. And now Yorkshire will be desperately hoping for some kind of version of a repeat. Oh, and Sutherland there, lucky not to nick that one from Potts, who is right in that channel that, well, a ball like that is a good ball in any format.
Certainly is. It's the corridor of uncertainty, isn't it? Or the avenue of apprehension, as it's known, down under.
Insert your rhyming punnery bits as appropriate, but you get the message. It's a great ball in a great area.
Well, that's a genuine edge and a genuine catch, and Jimmy Neesham wheels off in celebration. Matthew Potts has 2 in his very first over, and Durham are on fire here at York Cricket Club. Yorkshire 55 for 5, and it's Will Sutherland who departs for a 2-ball duck. This is outstanding from Potts, and we've not even had time to read out his stats against Yorkshire. In the previous 4 matches against the White Rose, had taken 8 wickets. Already into double digits now. He's taken 2 wickets. Sutherland goes, and out into the middle strides one of Yorkshire's most reliable and dependable T20 operators. It's Jordan Thompson.
Yeah, he's a bit of a fan's favourite, Thompson. And those fans of the White Rose will be desperately hoping he can deliver here. Tough when you've been out injured for a period of time. His last appearance for Yorkshire came in the County Championship defeat against Nottinghamshire at Headingley in late May. And now he's got to step out in an entirely different format and try and lead a rescue job. You'd sense primarily he's just got to keep Wharton company. Wharton's actually starting to find his feet here. That's 23 off 16. Yorkshire in all sorts of a pickle, thanks to Potts.
I mean, what a start this is. Loving life, isn't he? Here from the rugby ground end. So yes, of course, Thompson, the left-handed all-rounder. I mean, we're in the danger zone here, Michael. Loves a nice big hit out towards deep mid-wicket and straight away just drills it back down the ground. It's a lightning-fast outfield here at Clifton Park, and that will be 4 runs. Excellent way for Jordan Thompson to get off the mark.
Yeah, it's not too often you see that. There was no conventional mid-on or long-on at all, really. There was a very, very wide mid-on, but so wide that you'd almost call it more of a deep mid-wicket. And that left the space for what was just a conventional on-drive along the carpet. Very nice shot from Thompson. The field won't change either.
Again, it's fantastic bowling, isn't it, from Matthew Potts. Quintessential channel line right there from the England international. And of course, Durham fans, they'll be absolutely jubilant to see this man back. Such a canny operator, so clever with his variations, his seam positioning as well, just kisses it beautifully off the surface. And He's just got enough pace, hasn't he, to keep you really on your toes.
Yeah, and it's one thing you can appreciate from being side on rather than behind the bowler's arm, just how quick he is. Really giving it some, as that's another dot, guided to point. Potts completes an excellent over that's picked up 2 wickets and has conceded just 4. 59 for 5 then off 8. They've always had a consistent knack, Durham, of producing really good fast bowlers. You think going back a long way, you think of Killeen, you think of Harmison, you think of Onions, you think more recently of Potts, you think of Rushworth.
Mark Wood,
yep. Something that... It's something going on up in the northeast.
there is, and that brings me on to my next contender in terms of ones to watch. He's not playing today, but watch out for James Minto. Really impressive and exciting left-arm seam bowler. Zach Fawkes, though, here too. James Wharton starts off with a dot ball in this, his 4th and final over of the match. Currently has figures of 1 for 29 at the moment, and got the huge wicket. It was the big fish, the Yorkshire captain, Dawid Malan, for a golden duck. Wharton again failing to penetrate the gap on that occasion. Just interestingly, Michael, because some of our viewers here on the live stream might be a little bit later, they may not have seen the pitch report, for example. In terms of what you made of the surface, is 59 for 5 at this stage expected or not?
I mean, this is a pitch that, by all accounts, most were agreeing you want 200 on to provide a simple gauge. That's whipped away for one more. It's a pitch that doesn't look to be any demons in it, particularly from what we've seen so far. There is a bit of grip and turn. There was for Parkinson, so you'd think that Chauhan and Bess will fancy a go on that later for Yorkshire. But obviously the question is, when they get there, what are they defending? Because the outfield is exceedingly good value for your shots, both aerially and along the carpet. It's bowling green stuff out there, and the boundary dimensions are nothing particularly that bowlers would be chuffed about either. It's been exemplary from Durham so far.
Well, Thompson that time will just work that away off the hips for a single.
For those maybe just joining us more recently, live gone for 18, caught Rhodes, bowled Parkinson, Milan, LBW to Fawkes' first ball. Bairstow gone for 4 off 4 on his return, caught Potts, bowled Parkinson, and Luxton gone for a runner ball 9, LBW to Potts, and Sutherland caught by Neesham, that slip off Potts for a 2-ball duck.
Wharton again just waits on that one, plays that off the back foot very nicely, keeps the scoreboard moving along, and this is something which Zach Fawkes has done all season long. I know that he went for a little bit of tap early on. We saw those consecutive boundaries from Adam Lyth in the very first over of the piece, but you look at the economy rates of the Kiwi seam bowler so far this season, it's sub-7, which for a guy who usually bowls in the power play is absolutely exceptional. He bangs that one in short. We haven't really seen the short ball as of yet. A little bit too short on that occasion as the umpire raises the hands for the wide.
Yeah, I can't think of another real intentional dug-in short ball we've seen all game, actually. It should be said, though, with Fawkes' figures, he had back-to-back deliveries where he found the outside edge of Wharton's bat and it went for 4. On another day, he could quite easily be looking at about 3 for 20 here, the way he's bowled.
Well, again, it's another beautiful delivery, isn't it, from Zach Fawkes, who will finish off a fine spell in the end. As we said, slightly expensive early on, but he's come back very, very strong indeed and finishes with figures of 1 for 33 from his 4 overs on what is a belt of a surface. That is very impressive indeed. And yeah, he's been an inspired signing, hasn't he, as we just see Jonny Bairstow there enjoying life here at Clifton Park.
Yeah, he's having a wave and something, as much of a chat as you can have with a particularly young fan. with a young supporter down there who I think Jonny Bairstow's heading down to sign their bat.
Will be Matt Potts then to continue from the rugby ground ends, and that's a powerful shot first up. Little bit of a misfield. They think about coming back for the second. Wharton in particular was very keen to do so, but Thompson, his partner, sends him back straight away, and that is something which Bairstow has always been like. I mean, we were there, weren't we, on Friday after the game, and every single person who wanted an autograph, a picture, a selfie, even just a chat with the man, he always has so much time for the fans.
Yeah, they all go and do it off to the East Stand after every game. Potts again, straight at point. Good tumbling stop in the field. Yeah, if you come to a Yorkshire T20 game at Headingley, off just between essentially the pavilion and the East Stand, there's always a signing session after every men's or women's game where you can come and get your mementos, which particularly I know the young supporters love. On the field here, Thompson has got to just find his way in, and for now, just let Wharton do the bulk of the scoring. Thompson down the ground, straight drive. Well fielded again. The Durham fielding has been excellent so far, and that was another example. Jimmy Neesham away to his left. What Wharton needs here is he just needs a consistent partner for a period of time. And, you know, Thompson being the kind of a counter-attacking player he is, he might be thinking, get a few boundaries to counter-punch. But we think primarily with Wharton out there on 26 and looking relatively good, it's about getting him to face as many balls as possible from the Yorkshire viewpoint.
Oh, well, there was a big shot attempted, wasn't it, from James Wharton, attempting to pull that just in front of square leg. Doesn't get the connection that he's hoping for whatsoever on that particular shot. And I'll tell you what, this has been some start from Matthew Potts. As is often expected, has got a fine record in a Durham shirt. Across formats, it has to be said as well. An outstanding red ball bowler, and as we touched upon earlier, a very canny, wily, skilled operator in white ball cricket as well. And bounding in with real purpose here to Wharton, who has gone for the pull shot. There's a fielder there. Is it taken? Little bit of a juggle. And on the second time of asking, it is caught out in the deep. Yorkshire lose a 6th wicket. And I think that was Graham Clark out there on the boundary. An outstanding take. I mean, we talk about game awareness, IQ, cricketing intelligence, knew exactly where his feet were on the boundary rope, juggles it back in and takes the catch. Big moments in this innings. Yorkshire 65 for 6 in the 10th.
Well, we've just been talking about how key Wharton was as the set batter, but now he's out as well. And take a bow, Graham Clark. That is a fine catch, great rope management, knowing exactly where the rope is in relation to where he was. And there was plenty of particularly home fans behind him who would have loved nothing more than for him to drop it or somehow find a way to end up paying it for 6. But as it is, it's a magnificent catch from Clark. It's the kind of fielding that I think sometimes we forget in the modern game has become so normalised. It's still exceptionally good. It was only 10 years ago that any catch like that would be seen as something of a stunner and would be replayed for days and weeks and months and years. And now that they're almost 10 a penny, but we should always appreciate the athleticism of what we're seeing out there, and fielding like that is a great example. So Yorkshire really needs something from Dom Bess, who has contributed handy runs with the bat so far this season. And from his first ball, just guiding that to point. Bess has a best of 41 not out of 37, which he made in defeat at Worcestershire in Game 2. Of course, a lot of the time when Bess comes in, there isn't long left in the innings to give him the opportunity to bat, but he made a handy 18 not out of just 6 as a finisher's knock in the home win against Leicestershire. And he's now actually got the luxury of plenty of time out there, as it's up to Bess and Thompson, the two all-rounders, to rebuild. And into the attack for Durham comes Ben Rain, leading wicket taker, who's having another great season.
Yeah, as is often the case, touched upon it at the start of the broadcast, but Ben Rain ever so underrated, and there is the ploy straight away. Ollie Robinson standing up to the stumps. Just looks to shape it back in, whether it's into the left-hander or the right-hander. Seen it on so many occasions. He's just deceptive in terms of the amount of movements. He's not the fastest bowler on the planet by any stretch of the imagination, but he's ever so skillful, and you usually see Ben Rain targeting those stumps and disturbing timber. So, yeah, Yorkshire, it doesn't get any easier from here on out, and we haven't really spoken about Matthew Potts' bowling figures so far, but 3 for 6 from 2 overs. It has been a scintillating start from the Durham man as Dom Bess sends Ben Rain sprawling there. Diving to his right will just be a single for the Yorkshire pairing.
Yeah, Rain with a best this season of 5 for 23 against his old club Leicestershire, albeit in a game that Durham actually ended up losing. Failing to chase 194, falling 6 runs short. It's just guided off the outside face, deliberately done for 1 by Thompson. These two both more than capable batters, but it's also the scoreboard pressure that Yorkshire are playing at this point. 65 for 6 at halfway on a pitch that, by all accounts, they'd have been wanting something in the region of 200 on. Good contact on that from Bess. It will take some cutting off. It won't be cut off. A welcome, rare boundary in this innings so far for Yorkshire. And Dom Bess gets his first boundary of the contest.
Yep, excellent shot that, and it's a welcome boundary, isn't it? Just relieves the pressure somewhat, although Ben Rain, I mean, he does get hit for the odd boundary. And yet every single game it looks like he appears to get 1 or 2 wickets from players looking for that exact same shot. So we'll have to wait and see as Dom Bess goes aerial on that occasion. 1 bounce out to the fielder for 1 run. But in terms of the game situation, Michael, I'd love to pick your brain here a little bit. But of course, just over 9 overs of this innings remaining. We keep on talking about that magical 200 mark. In terms of what would be a somewhat defendable total, what do you think the home side can get up to here?
Not going to get anything more for that. Well bowled by Rain to Thompson. Well, at the start of this over, you were at 65. So Yorkshire, as that comes to a close, a 73 for 6 off 11. So 8 off that particular over. 9 overs to go. You've obviously got to realign expectations with the fact that, from a Yorkshire point of view, they've lost 6 wickets in less than half the innings, right? So from here, 9 and over gets them to 154. If they could go at 10 and over, it's 163. I think right now, if you offered Yorkshire 163, they'd probably have to take it. As Potts charges in again. That's on the pad. Umpire not interested. I think it is eventually signalled as a leg bite. There's another look. Well, impact outside the line of off stump from that replay. Going down to try and slog Sweet Potts. Braver man than me, Dom Bess, looking to do that. He's bowling pretty quick here, Matthew Potts.
Not just quick, but accurate as well.
It's out to cover point for 1 from Thompson, who has 9 off 11. Only Jaffa Chauhan, Will O'Rourke and Jack White left after these 2 for Yorkshire, who have really got to find a bit of a fight back here. Just so far with back-to-back wins against Leicestershire and Notts, either side of back-to-back defeats. As another big appeal, and this time that is gone. So Potts has got Bess, and Yorkshire have lost yet another wicket, 75 for 7. Bess is out for just 5, and the wickets continue to tumble for the home side. And Potts is bowling magnificently here. 6 for 4 for Matthew Potts, and he's still got plenty of time to make it a Michelle Pfeiffer.
He has, and interestingly enough with Matthew Potts, his career best in T20s before this game was 3 for 8. So he's already beaten that. He is on absolute flames at the moment, and we have got the stats in front of us. We can talk about those in a few seconds as Jaffa Chauhan enters the middle. We're in the territory of best ever bowling figures in a game between Yorkshire and Durham.
Yeah, it's been exemplary. It would be nice if at the right moment we could just catch one more view from behind the bowler's arm of that LBW, because it was a little bit of a curious one in terms of where it ends up hitting best. I mentioned in the previous delivery in the over he was trying to slog sweep. There's no real question from that it's out. It's cannoning into top of middle and leg, but Bess actually seems to have injured himself. It seems to have clonked him on just the sort of upper part of the leg, bending down. And even what you maybe didn't quite see as he was walking off, is he was slightly limping, which is a concern for Yorkshire. Hopefully he might get some deep heat on that and still be okay to bowl, as the first ball faced by Jaffa Chauhan is just guided to deep third for 1. So 76 for 7, and even more so now with the removal of Bess. Yorkshire are really looking at Jordan Thompson back into the team and looking for a hero. Jaffa Chauhan with a runner ball 11 off 11 not out against Warwickshire or the Bears. He can more than hold a bat, better known for his leg spin though. Sounded good off the bat from Thompson, straight at mid-off. Yeah, we were talking about those best bowling figures. Jack Shutt with 5 for 11 off 4 overs for Yorkshire at the Riverside in 2019. Mark Wood, 4 for 25 for Durham off 4 at Edgbaston in 2016. So Potts has got the time to potentially surpass both of those two. He currently has 4 for 8 off 2.4. Into the pads, another appeal. This one isn't given. That'll be the end of the over. Another tough over for Yorkshire. Another fantastic over from Matthew Potts. He has 4 for 8. Possibly pitching outside leg stump. No DRS, of course, county cricket, but you would sense that that would be the first thing going against it before we even get to the rest of the evidence. 76 for 7 then off 12. Yorkshire only going a tickle above a runner ball, and are now trying to see what they can scramble from the last 8 overs of this innings. You would imagine Durham are going to go for the kill and Potts should stay on and bowl his 4th. I mean, if I'm Matthew Potts, I'm pretty much running back to the rugby ground end to get my 4th over in. At the other end, Chauhan is blocking that one. Interesting to see how the rest of the bowling has worked through. Parkinson has 1 left. Folks has bowled out 1 for 33. And Sauter has bowled 1 over, as has Rain. There's another big appeal, and that's given as well. Sauter back on and has his first wicket. 76 for 8. Nathan Sauter gets his fellow leg spinner Jaffa Chauhan. Chauhan out for just 1. And the clatter of wickets only continues here at York. Just from that first look, seemed pretty straight.
Yeah, it did. We're seeing there the variations from Nathan Sauter. Picks up the LBW, and it's the unwanted conversation, Michael, but in terms of lowest totals between these two sides, it was Yorkshire at the Riverside in 2009 who got 90 for 9. So we've got to hope that history doesn't repeat itself in that regard, or well, even gets worse than that as Will O'Rourke enters the middle. But this has been really incisive bowling from Durham so far, and the other thing to touch upon is the captaincy here from Alex Lees. He's determined and dictated the tempo of this game. He's put Matthew Potts in at exactly the right time. Your X-Factor bowler, your strike weapon, get me those key wickets, and it's worked divinely.
It certainly has. And O'Rourke far better known for bowling his rockets. He's going to try and rescue Yorkshire in his penultimate T20 appearance to the White Rose with the bat. Just blocking that one. O'Rourke, as you can see there, hasn't had much of a blast season with the bat. He's been barely required. He's got a promotion up to 10 with White in the team. O'Rourke is getting one hit down to long on. He made 5 not out off 3 on debut against Northants. And he got 0 not out off 1 ball at Nottinghamshire in the win at Trent Bridge. Yorkshire are at least past their lowest ever blast score, which is 68 against Derbyshire at Chesterfield in 2023. Sweetly struck by Thompson. Bit of a chase for cover point coming round, who will keep it to just 1. Yorkshire's lowest score in a blast home game is 95 all out against Durham at Leeds in July 2024. Right now, 95 is still a little while away for this pair. Fires that in Souter. Lovely looking cover drive from O'Rourke. And again, as has been the theme all day, the fielding's very tight. So that will be 2. And that is the end of another over. Nice tight wicket taking over from Souter. So consistently excellent in this comp. He has 1 for 10 off 2, 80 for 8 off 13.
Well, this is interesting because Matthew Potts isn't bowling here. It'll be Jimmy Neesham from the rugby ground ends. So slight shuffling of the pack here from Alex Lees. Although it is funny, we spoke about the fielding there. The man at cover point who raced across there was, guess who? Matthew Potts. So he's feeling the energy. He's in a groove. He's got his mojo. And I'll tell you what, Durham have been absolutely unstoppable. And look, they were very good against Northamptonshire. It is not an easy thing to go to Wantage Road and beat the Steelbacks. They've turned that place into a fortress. And Ryan Campbell must be grinning from ear to ear at this display so far.
So the new over starts with a waft outside off from Thompson. It's funny that you mention the captaincy of Lees because, of course, plenty of Yorkshire supporters will smile in irony as that's said, because the first place that Alex Lees developed those leadership skills was at Yorkshire as white ball captain once upon a time. Became one of the youngest captains in Yorkshire history when given the honour. Took the white ball reins from Andrew Gale. Down the ground. Didn't really time it, but manages to get it over the head of mid-off for 4. So Thompson gets his second boundary. Being aggressive and getting his reward for conviction in the shot. Was more power than timing, though.
Yeah, it was. It was just clubbed, wasn't it? Whacked back down the ground by Jordan Thompson, and well, it is basically up to him at this stage. Will O'Rourke at the other end has just got to rotate the strike as best as he can.
This again is not really timed from Thompson. Out to deep point for 1. Thompson has 15. Of course, once upon a time, it was the Brains Trust at Yorkshire had Alex Lees as white ball captain, Jason Gillespie as head coach, and a certain Anthony McGrath as player mentor back in that 2015 season. There's a very good behind-the-scenes documentary of it, charting the very first steps of Lees as a white ball captain, taking Yorkshire to the semi-final of the 50-over competition, an era in which Yorkshire had a lot of red ball success under Gillespie. Of course, Lees was at Yorkshire for a long while before joining Durham on loan in 2018 and then permanently in 2019, taking the reins from Scott Borthwick as Durham skipper. Beautifully bowled right in that dangerous corridor, and it's the kind of delivery that O'Rourke himself will be all too admiring of. Almost that classic too good to find the edge cliche you hear often used about such deliveries.
Yeah, it was a good delivery that, wasn't it, from Jimmy Neesham? And this will be a matchup that he'll like, won't it, against one of the Yorkshire tail-enders as he searches for the wicket in this over.
Nice shot from O'Rourke, just a little punch down the ground, for which he'll collect 2. Yeah, I think it's fair to say Yorkshire supporters would prefer this matchup of the 2 New Zealand internationals when O'Rourke's got the ball in hand. Neesham is in great form at the moment. Took 3 for 29 in that win at Northants and 50 not out with the bat. He's almost as handy an all-rounder as he is a hilarious character on his social media. He's great company. Neesham this time fields well off his own bowling. He was, of course, part of that epic 2019 50-over World Cup final, which his tweet after it was one of the best I think I've ever seen from a sports person. Kids, don't take up sport, take up baking or something. Die at 60 really fat and happy. That was Jimmy Neesham after being part of the side that lost to England in that super over, with boundary count being part of it. Beautiful shots of York from our drone. Great to have the pleasure of your company up here in the Vertu commentary box. 87 for 8 of 18. Not a great pleasure to watch, I'd imagine, if you're a Yorkshire supporter right now. But 6 overs left to scramble what they can. Souter is driven neatly by Thompson out to deep cover for 1. Thompson has 16. You think primarily O'Rourke's got a bat for Thompson here. Just look to rotate strike.
Oh, 100%. I touched upon it, didn't I, in the previous over. You've got to give Jordan Thompson the lion's share here of these remaining deliveries. Of course, for Nathan Souter, he'll love this matchup as well. Has a real potent top spinner and googly at his disposal. So let's wait and see what he's got up his sleeve on this occasion. Well, he's been driven square on that occasion by Will O'Rourke. Will just be a single for Yorkshire's tally.
Yeah, and that's all Yorkshire need from O'Rourke. But Thompson has got to pick his moment here to try and go a bit ballistic. And it's difficult. It's his first T20 game of the season, but Yorkshire's hopes are on his shoulders. Swipe and a miss there from Thompson against Souter. Souter, who first joined Durham on loan from Middlesex back in 2022. Been a very consistent wicket taker for Durham in the blast. Concedes 1 there. O'Rourke back on strike. Yorkshire will be thinking if they can go at 8 and over from here, can get themselves towards, if not past, 130. Easier said than done, though. So O'Rourke picks out cover. Two wins from 6 so far for Yorkshire. 3 victories from 5 for Durham. 3rd coming into today. Souter again is right on the button there. Smart keeping, and the end of another over. Like any good spinner, he gets through them very quickly, Nathan Souter. So Yorkshire have just 5 overs left and find themselves in all sorts of a pickle, primarily thanks to Potts. If you like all your peas, Potts with 4 for 8 off 3. You imagine he'll be back for his 4th pretty soon. 90 for 8 off 15.
Yep, and ask and you shall receive, Mr. McCann, as Matthew Potts is back on here from the rugby ground end as the sun begins to peer through the clouds here at York. It's such a beautiful venue. I know we'll mention this at length throughout the duration of the broadcast, but York Cricket Club as an outground, if you've not been here before, you've got to try and get some tickets. It's absolutely divine. And here is Potts then, bowling to Jordan Thompson, and Thompson looks to wind up there. It's gone underneath the keeper, Robinson, and that is a very welcome 5 wides to the tally for Yorkshire.
Well, if you believe in the curse of the commentator, there's your evidence. Been picking up what a brilliant bowler Matthew Potts is, and he's produced an uncharacteristically poor ball, which hasn't given keeper Ollie Robinson too much chance. Never fun, particularly when Potts is trying to slant it across that left-hander. Yorkshire now just starting to add a modicum of respectability to the total by, they'll hope, getting past 100 first and foremost, then probably looking up at that 120 mark for a runner ball. Potts has still, of course, got the 6 balls available here to take the wicket that would grab his fifer.
He'll have to re-bowl that one. Will Matthew Potts just hasn't found the radar, has he, in this over as of yet? And I will ask the question, Michael, should have Alex Lees have bowled him after that 3rd over?
The game always looks easy up here in the commentary box, doesn't it? But we both felt like go for the kill. We were both a little surprised to see him taken off, given the control that Durham had. Might as well go for trying to bowl Yorkshire out here, which is what they're doing now with Potts coming back on, of course. And that would be 1 for Yorkshire to the total for Thompson. That's not to say, of course, they would try not to by bringing others on, but I think the point that anyone can appreciate at home is when you've got someone with 8 for 4 from 3 overs, you would have thought that you would keep them going, but Alex Lees had other ideas, and who are we to offer advice, given the masterclass of captaincy that Alex Lees has put on here with his Durham side.
Well, Potts now into the right-handed O'Rourke, cramps him up for Roon. Potts sprints after that one, has a shy at the non-striker's end, but O'Rourke was comfortably there. Leg by given as Yorkshire inch ever closer to 3 figures here on home soil.
You mentioned getting along to York, Aaron. Worth mentioning that the Yorkshire men's team also play here against Essex in the Rothesay County Championship. 4-day game starting on Sunday the 29th of June. So hopefully we'll see a good crowd in a couple of weeks' time for that one, particularly on the Sunday, you'd think.
Oh, 100%. Also quite a big fixture here in August in the One Day Cup. As Potts bowls here to Jordan Thompson, looks to slam that one out towards deep mid-wicket. Will be Jimmy Neesham doing the fielding. That clash, of course, being against the other Rose County, Lancashire.
If you can't tell, dear viewers, Aaron is being so sarcastic there that his tongue is very, very firmly in his cheek. Of course, that oldest of rivalries brought once more. It's Lancashire on Tuesday, the 12th of August, and it's Somerset on Thursday, the 14th of August, here at York, both of those.
O'Rourke loads up for the big shots on that occasion. Big swing, no ding, dot ball.
Yeah, it was interesting having a chat with Will O'Rourke after the game on Friday. Talked about, in his words, it's a big reason for coming over here, just to try and get a few more T20 games under my belt. It's probably the weaker of my 3 formats at the moment, but I'm trying to push up my skills, my Yorker and slur balls and stuff like that, because like everyone, I want to be a 3 format player. I don't think he was necessarily expecting to get a long bat here today at York. That's what Yorkshire need him to do. 6 off 11.
Well, O'Rourke does pull it away in front of square as the Yorkshire faithful burst into applause. It's the 100 up for the White Rose here at York Cricket Club. It comes up in the 16th over. Hasn't been the batting display that anybody of a Yorkshire persuasion would have hoped for, but at least it's beginning to just add up slightly compared to what it could have been earlier. We were looking at those records for lowest total. At least 3 figures are on the board, but at this stage it does definitely look very much under par on what is a belter of a surface here in Clifton. Full wrapped on the pads and given. Matthew Potts becomes the first Durham bowler to take 5 wickets in a T20 Blast match against Yorkshire County Cricket Club. He's already got those career best figures, and it is, of course, a maiden 5-wicket haul in the T20 formats for the Durham lads. Someone born and raised in Sunderland. He's a popular member of that dressing room, and he is such a fine bowler. He has completely tore the heart and soul out of this Yorkshire batting order today. The home side 100 for 9 as Jordan Thompson departs, and Jack White, the White Roses number 11, enters the middle.
Yeah, Thompson gone for 19 off 23. Potts strikes with the very final ball of his spell. 5 for 17, and worth remembering that 6 of those 17 conceded were wides at the start of that final over. So it sounds a strange thing to say when a bowler takes career best figures of 5 for 17, but he'll probably get a bit of light-hearted joshing from his teammates about the fact that he could have made those figures even more impressive than they already are. And so Yorkshire are looking to their last pair to bat the final 4 overs and get what they can, which, no matter what T20 team you support around the world, that's not a phrase you really want to be hearing. Yorkshire are in some trouble here on a pitch that, in truth, does not look to have many demons in it.
It doesn't, and it's Ben Rain comes steaming in here too. Will O'Rourke, slight collision there with Jack White. It will just be a single. Just to illustrate those excellent figures even further, they are the 4th best in Durham's T20 history. So we saw Paul Collingwood, with those ridiculous figures of 5 for 6 against Northants back in 2011. Then it was Paul Collingwood again with 5 for 14 against Derbyshire at the Riverside in 2008. And of course, a lot more recently, Nathan Souter with those figures of 5 for 15 against Northamptonshire at Wantage Road as Rain bowls around the wicket to the left-handed White. And that is a fine shot from the Yorkshire tail-ender. Chase on for the fielder, and Matthew Potts scampers across, scoops it away from the boundary and restricts it to just 2 runs. He's been brilliant with the ball and equally as astonishing in the field.
Yeah, that stop was right in front of us, and you could see that he timed the dive and the flick absolutely perfectly to make sure that his feet weren't in contact with the rope, had them lifted. Yorkshire looking to grab what they can from this final pair on a difficult day for their T20 batting lineup.
White loads up for the big shot, wallops it down the ground. Again, another effort from the Durham fielders. Goes to no avail. Jack White, how about this? Couple of lusty blows towards the latter stages of the innings.
Durham's fielding has been so good today. You're almost surprised to see a fielder dive and not stop it, but it's a very quick outfield. You can see the way the ball whisks away. And it would have, even by the high standards the visitors have set today, been some stop to keep that one in play. Well-deserved boundary for White.
How does Ben Rain respond after that one then? Well, White again goes aerial. Will take a couple of bounces as Matthew Potts does the cleaning up. Another single to add to the total.
We might be in the early stages of building what is one of the great sort of things that give cricketers, particularly bowlers, joy up and down the country and across the world when they come out and manage to score some runs and walk back into the top order and say, well, it's not that hard out there.
Rain this time to O'Rourke, who again loads up for the massive strikeout towards mid-wicket. Swishes the bat afterwards, a little bit disappointed not to get contact on that one.
I mean, Jack White is playing his first T20 innings for Yorkshire in his 3rd T20 game, and he's right now got a strike rate of 233, albeit from a very small sample size of 3 balls faced.
Even so, he's looked very comfortable, hasn't he, so far as the former Northants man. That one, another fine delivery from Ben Rain, who you could see looked slightly frustrated that didn't result in a wicket.
Yeah, end of the over. 17 gone then. 108 for 9. So 3 overs left here. A runner ball gets Yorkshire 1-2-6. If somehow these two could go at 10 and over, it grabs Yorkshire 1-3-8. It's funny the amount of times we like to, as commentators, read into the tea leaves that they're having some great detailed chat about tactics and strategy. I think there's every chance White and O'Rourke might be doing a version of that. It's a joke with 2 people across a table that's quite a common video shared online of who would have, look at us, who'd have thought, ending up out there as 10 and 11 with multiple overs left in the contest. As Durham search for that final wicket, but this is lofted over short cover and into a gap from White, who will move on to 8 from 4. Continuing on his merry way, O'Rourke has been a little more circumspect for his 8, coming off 15. Yorkshire, remember, if they lose this, will be in a really tough spot. It would be 2 wins from 7. They'd realistically need to win at least 5 of their last 7 to stand a chance of making the quarterfinals. That's short and straight at point. Nice slower ball. Nice change up from Jimmy Neesham. You'd expect nothing less of someone who has played 171 games across all three formats for the Kiwis.
It's interesting that, because we spoke about the lack of short balls earlier on. We haven't seen too many of those back-of-the-hand slower balls, have we? We've seen a couple of cutters from Ben Rain, as you'd grow to expect, but it's not really been a ploy so far from Durham.
Another slow ball from Neesham, who will have to re-bowl that one. This ground is known for having a little bit of tennis ball bounce. Something that a few people had mentioned to me in the build-up. Now, where does O'Rourke look for a big blow? The offside field is mostly up. Leg side field is pretty deep set. He's gone for the trusty outside edge. Well, that's always handy for Will O'Rourke, who goes into double figures. It's a moral victory for Neesham, but it's 4 on the board for Yorkshire.
Yep, and it's at the stage, isn't it, where everything must go as far as the home side are concerned. They've just got to try and get to something. We still think it's going to be massively under par. It is such a good batting track, this, but then again, in T20 cricket, funny things can happen. If Durham get off to a shaky start, who knows? Anything could play out in front of our eyes here at York Cricket Club.
Another slow ball from Neesham, who's gone pace off for 3 of the last 4 that he sent down, including that leg side wide, into that stage of the innings where it's a real game of bluff and double bluff. Quicker this time from Neesham, and smashed by O'Rourke. Comfortably his best shot of the day. Just a little bit too full and a little bit too wide from Neesham, and that allows Will O'Rourke to get his power through it and puts it away really nicely through cover point. That's a great shot.
It's a lovely looking shot, but it's the cardinal sin, isn't it, of bowling to tail enders. You want to target the stumps, and Neesham there has offered a bit of a gimme. It's wide, slightly shorter, there to be hit, and Will O'Rourke obliges with great disdain.
Ace off again from that final delivery. All the change-ups from Neesham, who concedes 10 from the over. It's a rare good over for Yorkshire. I mentioned that 10 and over from the last 3 seemed optimistic for Yorkshire to get to 138. Well, they've got the 10 they needed from that one here at York Sports Club. And I think it's worth saying as well, just taking a moment to thank everyone behind the scenes here at York Sports Club. You've done such a fantastic job of readying this ground for the sellout we've got of around 4,500 in, the installation of the temporary stand, as well as the various bars and catering facilities. There's a little kids play area as well. The nets are all opened up as well, which is a really nice touch so that youngsters can go in there and practice their skills. That's down the ground for 1 from White, who's on to 9 off 5 here. It's been a great effort from everyone behind the scenes. It's not easy for a collective effort to come together for somewhere like York to host an occasion like this, but doing so magnificently, even if Yorkshire aren't quite matching that with their batting on the pitch so far. Slow ball, sliced up by O'Rourke, and with the spin it will go for 4. So it's another boundary, and the spin just took it away from the fielder at cover point coming around. So these two are having a bit of merry fun for Yorkshire.
They are, and I'm slightly confused here by the plans of these two, because we've seen that anything that's out wide is being dispatched to the fence. I mean, that's not a great delivery from Ben Rain. Looks to make amends on this occasion. That's more like it, trying to bring leg stump into play. As such, it'll only be a single, but it has been slightly erratic by the visitors' standards. They've been very good up until this point, but it's one of those typical situations where you've got those 9 wickets and you're anticipating that last one will fall quite quickly. Yeah. And as such, it hasn't.
9th wicket fell at the end of the 16th over with 100 on the board, but the 10th wicket partnership is going to get more here. That almost went for 6 He's giving that a right good belt, is Jack White. Belts it down the ground. His second 4. He's got 13 off 6. Lovely stuff from the number 11.
Really is. And there's something glorious, isn't there, about a left-hander playing shots like that. Looks so aesthetically pleasing. Great stuff, this from Jack White.
White won't get anything here. That's back to Ben Rain. He's still wicketless today. 13 wickets in the competition so far this season for the 33-year-old all-rounder from Sunderland. Started out at Merton, product of the Durham Academy, but then made his name, you'd say, primarily initially at Leicestershire. And done and dusted. Jack White's merry fun is finished. And the last wicket pair, who did a good job for Yorkshire in difficult circumstances, are separated. 128 all out then, Yorkshire. White gone for 13. Will O'Rourke with a creditable 21 not out of 22 as Yorkshire tried to scramble whatever they could. But it means that ultimately 6 balls of the innings go unused. I think there's no doubt on a pitch that doesn't have many demons in it, but it is advantage Durham.
It certainly is, yeah. Durham, I mean, they're bowled really well. We've seen a slight loosening of the grip there with that final wicket partnership. Some excellent shots from Will O'Rourke and Jack White getting Yorkshire above 3 figures. 129 will be the target, but I'll tell you what, that does seem very underwhelming on this surface. We've seen that anything loose, anything wide will be punished. We know the dimensions here at York Cricket Club are not very big at all, and this is going to take a stellar effort from Yorkshire as Matthew Potts walks off to the great adoration of the supporters, both home and away. Lifts that ball aloft, a maiden 5-wicket haul in the T20 format for the England international. Great to see him back from a county cricket perspective. As for Yorkshire, we spoke about that ridiculous record before, 8 wickets in 4 matches. Make that now 13 in 5 for Matt Potts against the White Rose.
Yeah, you're spot on in that Potts was the chief destroyer, but great credit to all of the Durham attack, because you don't bowl a team out for 128 without a great collective effort. Falks 1 for 33. Parkinson superb with 2 for 20 off 3 in the power play, including 2 big wickets. That was Falks getting Milan for a golden duck. Souter 1 for 13 off 3. Ben Rain 1 for 26 off 3. Only 3 Yorkshire batters before that last wicket pair made it into double figures. Live 18, Wharton 26, and Thompson on his return 19. Credit to Will O'Rourke, 21 not out, and Jack White with 13 as they added 28 for the last. But when we're back with you, as we leave you with the mid-innings highlights, we'll be back with you in not too long here at York, where it will be 129 to win for Durham. Welcome back to York for the run chase. 128 all output on the board by Yorkshire from 19 overs. A total that pretty much everyone in the press box around me agreed that mid-innings was somewhat under par. It would be quite an effort for Yorkshire to defend this. They're going to give it their very best shot. Jonny Bairstow's back behind the sticks with gloves in hand. That's unsurprising. Jack White has got the ball in his hand after a somewhat cavalier 13 with the bat. And I'm delighted to say alongside yours truly, Michael McCann at the start of this second innings. Very good afternoon to Ben Cliff.
Afternoon, Michael.
Great to have your company once more as White is in to bowl the first ball of the reply. It's just guided away for a single by Graham Clark, who has an excellent record against Yorkshire. 433 runs and an average of 34 against Yorkshire in T20s, and he's actually got a better record against Yorkshire than any other team. So it's been something of a lucky charm for him. And that brings on to strike someone for whom this is, you might even say, kind of a home game, which is not something you find yourself saying very much about an opposition captain. But of course it is a certain Alex Lees facing up to White from the City end. A lovely flying cover drive, but fielded nicely in the covers by Milan. What did you make of that first innings? A tough day at the office with the bat.
Yeah, tough day at the office, really. Obviously not off to the start we'd have liked, but the lads down the order there clawed us to an okay score. Hopefully Whitey, whoever else opening, maybe O'Rourke, can get us off to a good start, really.
Early wickets key for Yorkshire. White charging in. And a bouncer with real intent. It's just guided away for one by Lees. So now both openers off the mark. White so far has made quite a quick and impressive start to life in T20 cricket for Yorkshire's T20 debut on match day 5. Took 4 for 33 at Nottinghamshire and then 2 for 39 against the Bears. Just spoilt slightly by one bad over, but having a very impressive first season for the White Rose. Just trying to hit that hard back of a length, which did look like in the first innings it caused some problems when the Durham seamers found that kind of spot, a slight tennis ball bounce. I know a few people talk about here at York, Ben.
Yeah, slight tennis ball bounce. I mean, it normally goes through quite nicely here at York. I personally quite like bowling here. So there's a bit of that in it. It's not maybe as flat as it might look to the naked eye, but yeah, if you definitely get it in the right spots, it does talk.
Down the track this time, and heading away to deep point is Graham Clark for one. So nice tight over this from White. Yorkshire will be targeting early wickets in this power play to try and put the chase under pressure. Yeah, it's interesting. The pre-match consensus, and we certainly shared it in the commentary box, was broadly speaking that it looked like a very good track to bat on. But there is that old cliche, of course, about seeing how it shapes up once both sides have had a go.
Yeah, definitely. Don't judge it until they've both had a hit on it, as they say.
Back of a length again. Nice areas from White early doors. He's only conceded 3 from that first over. Living up to his very first name is Curtly Jack White, who quite brilliantly has named that after Curtly Ambrose, which is something, because he's more commonly known as Jack White, few are aware of. He was channeling one of his great fast bowling heroes there with a very tidy over. He's gone for just 3. From the rugby ground end, it's going to be Will O'Rourke in his penultimate T20 appearance for Yorkshire. I'm reliably told, keep your eyes across Yorkshire's social media and website channels pretty soon for details on his replacement. Decent start from O'Rourke, nice looking square drive, good cricket all round, dot ball.
Yep, nice start from O'Rourke there. Attack the stumps.
What's it been like to have around as a fellow bowler yourself of some gas on a good day, Ben Cliff? I know you've been sort of in and around rehab, but have you managed to have a few chats and pick his brains?
Yeah, I had a few chats with him. Yeah, he's a good lad. Obviously, he's quite quiet. You wouldn't really think someone bowling 90 plus would be quite quiet and reserved, but he is. As he comes in now.
Rourke again in a good spot, just being worked way out to deep square leg, as you often see for a pace bowler in the power play. He's got deep third and deep square leg. Yeah, for a big, tall man, it's interesting. When you Google Will O'Rourke release point, you get about 1 million results. It's probably the thing he's best known for. For a guy who's tall and bowls rockets, I interviewed him after the game on Friday. He's a very softly, quietly spoken fella.
He is, yeah.
Just lets the ball do the talking.
He actually doesn't think he bowls that quick either. Honestly.
Oh, that's funny. That's giving me a giggle. He's pushed that one through O'Rourke and he's nearly found the outside edge of Lees' bat. And Lees just kind of does that thing that batters do after it's gone, as if signalling that this has got extra bounce. Just as we were discussing that release point, it's reached Bairstow at shoulder height.
Yeah, just that extra bounce there at York. You can find it.
3 for 31 on Friday night. T20 best in Yorkshire colours. He's improved steadily as time's gone on here at Yorkshire O'Rourke. That time is absolutely smashed through these. First round of the innings, it whistled off the blade. Now, first boundary, the former Yorkshire skipper, Alex.
To touch width there. It's gone through the sort of cover point area. Maybe not 5 feet on another day. Touch of width and you can score pretty well straight square.
O'Rourke responds. Well, O'Rourke to Lees, who got himself in all sorts of a strange tangle here. He'd gone to ramp and then he found himself trying to guide it through third, and he ended up looking like almost like he was playing French cricket.
It's come off his inside knee, I think, that. Right, Pickle. Shall I scoop? Shall I not? Shall I play forward D? I'll just let it hit me.
Well, I think he ended up trying to guide it to third, but ended up in the completely wrong position to do so.
Yeah.
Don't get long to think about things when O'Rourke's charging in. That's not for the first time in the over, beating him outside the off stump. There's a wry smile from Alex Lees, respecting what is a good ball. I think he's quite pleased not to nick it. So it's been an excellent start with the ball from Yorkshire. 8 without loss from 2. White concedes just 3. O'Rourke goes for just 5. And it seems like, now we've seen a couple of overs, that our thoughts up here are rapidly changing in relation to the fact that this pitch maybe isn't playing quite as good as it looks.
Yeah, it's been a good start. Good start for Yorkshire as well, O'Rourke again.
That was the one boundary of the contest so far in this run chase.
Catch.
And that's gone straight at point. It was hit very hard. David Milan had to take one that was really travelling. And if Yorkshire are going to defend this total, they need wickets. And the scoreboard pressure has brought one. From the first ball of the third over, Milan holds on to a ball that was hit at red-hot pace.
Touch of width maybe, but straight to Milan at cover there. Good pair of hands. I was just about to say it's been a pretty good start from Yorkshire. The only thing it's been missing is a wicket, and there we go. Yeah. Curtly Jack White with the opener.
Yeah, Curtly Jack, living up to the name that we were discussing previously. His first wicket of today, his 7th wicket of the campaign already. And that will give Yorkshire a bit of belief. Clark backing away and looking for what is a very strong area for him. So out to join Alex Lees comes Ollie Robinson, who's having a very solid blast. He's Durham's leading run scorer. He has 138 runs at an average of just under 28, but also what's impressive is his strike rate, 132. It's very creditable. White this time is whipped away for 1. Robinson off the mark. Really important for Yorkshire to keep the pressure up here. The margin for error is so small when defending a small total. And a little bit of luck there, you would say, just in the fact that Clark could not have picked out Milan any better. It's one of those shots that 2 yards either side is very likely for, such as the pace at which it was hit. But Milan takes a good catch and Yorkshire have a sniff. Back of a length, sounded good off the bat. This will take some chase on deep backward square coming around. And despite a desperate dive, it does go for 4. So second 4 of the innings. Second 4 for Lees.
Nicely timed there from Lees. Not much behind that at all. Like I say, a square of the wicket at York, you can get some reward.
White looking for a response. Still has deep backward square and deep third out. And a slip in play as well. Tried a little back of the hand slur ball. This has gone into a similar region. And that'll be 2. So Lee's into double figures against his old club. 32-year-old opener from Halifax. Started out at Bradshaw CC in the Halifax Cricket League before moving to Illingworth when he was 13, joined the Yorkshire Pathway in 2006 as Yorkshire supporters of a certain generation who will still be slightly getting used to the oddness of seeing Alex Lees playing against Yorkshire. Of course, left for Durham in 2018. White is thumped away by Lees. Well, that is a pull shot that has gone through a wide mid-on. He was on it so early, Lees. Picked up the length really quickly. That's a classy shot.
Yeah, it's a top shot. Just back of a length again. Again, not much behind it. Great timing. Keeps it down nicely and 4 runs to Lees again.
There's a lot of vacant space on that leg side because it was a 6-3 field. It's now a 5-4. Mistimes that one, Lees. And the end of a successful over for White, but an over that did become a little expensive as well. 19 for 1 after 3 then. So it looks like it is going to be O'Rourke again. Dilemma here for Milan will also be when we come back to that City end. Where do you reckon you turn to? You've got Bess and Chauhan, your 2 spinners. There's a risk of that, of course, in the power play. The bowling component has a different look to it with both George Hill and Matt Revis out the side.
Yeah, it's nice to have Tomo back in. Obviously, normally likes to take the 7th, so.
Continuing, and O'Rourke being driven straight.
Well fielded by Lees, that.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I thought that hit Alex Lees. It's nothing like calling in a favour from the non-striker to protect your figures when you're a bowler. Just having a good laugh about it out there now, Yorkshire's former opener. Of course, not the only former Yorkshire player in this Durham side. We'll see Will Rhodes later on, who was very tidy in the field. O'Rourke is sliced away through 3rd for 4. Well, luckless for the New Zealander, who did everything right there. And really, this was attempted to be hit through more of an extra cover region. Chauhan is down there, but he had no chance.
Yeah, you see a lot of that with the paceman in this format. Anything on it. Races away to the boundary. 3rd man. Couldn't even be a bit finer there, Jaffa, with his pace, but tough one.
It's an unforgiving ground, short boundaries, fast outfield. O'Rourke this time is just played straight to mid-on. So it's been a good start from White and O'Rourke. Fascinating to see where Milan goes. You mentioned Thompson, of course, often bowling that first over outside the power play. There's a risk of looking towards your spin. I know one of the reasons Luxton kept on Friday was to get a 6th bowling option into the team. Bairstow being back today means that you've swapped 2 all-rounders for one of them in Bairstow who takes the gloves rather than offers a bowling option. Right on the money again. Really has settled into life at Yorkshire well, and it's safe to say that after that trip to Durham in 5 days' time, where his blast stint with Yorkshire will be done, he'll play one championship game. He's going to be missed in this T20 team, isn't he? Yeah, definitely. Like you say, having those bowlers with that extra pace can really add to your armourer. And he will be missed. Like you say, he's really settled in well. Last few games especially. Rourke really pushed that one through, and Chauhan coming around to his right won't get there. I mentioned before, it absolutely flies off the bat at this ground, particularly when there's pace already on it. Second boundary of the over for Robinson, but this is much more controlled than the other one that came through third previously in the over. Yeah, looking at that, you just think it'd be a one down to third man, but it's absolutely raced away. He'll be pretty annoyed, and rightly so. Yeah, although that one, to Robinson's credit, he's very much open the face. Yeah, definitely. Even Bencliffe has fast and nasty bowled alongside me has to admit there was an element of deliberateness about that one. That's a nice looking drive through. Extra cover. Don Best does the fielding. We'll see him with ball in hand soon, you'd imagine. So that's the end of the over. 28 for 103. 2 boundaries from it. And right now, Durham just above the required run rate, a bit early on in their chase. Robinson and Lees rebuilding well after the early loss of Graham Clark. So it looks like Jordan Thompson is going to come on for this fifth over, beg your pardon, from the City end. So it will be Thompson's first over in the men's T20 blast for Yorkshire this season on his comeback and return from injury. How do you start with describing a character like him? There's a smile on your face immediately, something of a fan's favourite, a cheeky chappy. He is, yeah. He's class, Tomo. The big show. Thompson starts with being driven through the covers for 1. It's interesting, of course, because Yorkshire once upon a time had Glenn Maxwell himself here as an overseas a decade ago. Offers skills in both departments. You think as a Yorkshire fan of that epic final over against Surrey in the quarter-final back in 2022. Defended just 5 to win. There's a nice recap of that on the club's YouTube channel where Thompson talks through it. Finds the outside edge there. Straight down to Luxton, a deep backward point in front of us for 1 more. Yeah, Tomo is a great competitor. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he plays for the big moments, as you know. And he's been pulling his hair out last few weeks, not been able to play, and he's been dying to get back out there and help the lads out, really. Proper competitor. Thompson will get a dot here. And also, when you've got a team that are in a bit of a difficult spot, 2 wins from 6, a bit of that fresh energy is what you can need, right? Someone who's been injured, has that excitement of coming back and playing, and isn't in any way frustrated by having been part of those previous defeats, has got that just sheer excitement to be back on the park. Yeah, without a doubt. He's been dying for this. Thompson back of a length, slower ball. It was a slightly dangerous shot there. It hung in the air ominously for a second for Robinson, who actually did well to control that, because had he gone through it, it would have been a simple catch for Luxton out at deep backward square. Yeah, one of Tomo's strengths that is his variations, and he uses a lot of them. Always keeps the batsman guessing. Yorkshire's 5th highest ever T20 wicket taker. Looking for one here. Instead it's going to be a scampered quick single, and it's a well-judged quick single between Lees and Robinson. Good over this so far, though. It's gone for just 4 from 5. I don't think he's far off top, actually. He was literally talking about it earlier. Of course he was. Of course he was talking about it earlier, so I don't think he's far off top. It's few and far between the cricketers that are not aware of where they sit when it comes to certain statistical milestones. He's definitely aware. That's well bowled by Thompson. His first over concedes just 4. And that leaves the score 32 for 1 off 5. I know off the field as well, he's a huge advocate for diabetes awareness. He's done a lot of talking about that, and of course has all that experience from the Hobart Hurricanes, the Karachi Kings, the Trent Rockets. He's an T20 winner last season, and he was Yorkshire's top wicket taker in the Blast both last season and the season before, so he's been a massive loss, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. Like you say, he's played a lot of cricket, a lot of franchise stuff as well. He's playing for another new team in the 100. I think he's just collecting the kits at this point. But yeah, he's got a lot of experience, and something, like you say, we've missed at the start of this Blast campaign.
Yorkshire have given White a change of end, so it's White from the rugby ground end to complete the power play now. 32 for 1 off 5. It's just stroked out to deep point. Thompson, you mentioned that wickets list. He has 91 T20 wickets for Yorkshire. 4 he's chasing. Azim Rafiq with 102. Richard Pyra, now head coach of the Yorkshire women's team, has 108. Tim Bresnan has 118. And Adil Rashid has 122. So he would need another 32 to get top. White this time is hit down the ground, just wide of mid-on. Sutherland with the fielding to keep it to 1. He's a very good natural athlete in the field, Will Sutherland. And I should just add to that, that is of course on the basis that Adil Rashid doesn't take any further wickets for Yorkshire. He hasn't actually played a T20 Blast game since 2022, but understandably he's on an England central contract, and so much like the likes of Harry Brook or Joe Root, it's relatively rare that he's seen in Yorkshire colours. Sounded very good off the bat from these, but he's hit it straight to Sutherland at mid-off.
Yeah, good start this over from Whitey. He's actually a few off. I thought he was going to be Tomo for the wickets.
Oh, what, from what he'd been saying to you, he'd been given the impression that a couple of good games.
Maybe I misheard it.
Yeah, he's still got a little bit of a way to go there. On 90, sitting on 91, so he chases his way up the rankings. That century mark is the next one to aim for, you'd think. 9 more for that. So here's White being driven away for another single. It's good containing bowling from Yorkshire. And White, of course, it's not a phrase I thought I'd find myself necessarily saying too often, but White is a significant reason as to why Yorkshire have got something to defend here, because it's he and O'Rourke that put on 28 for that last wicket with some classic lower order batting, and there was something to really enjoy about watching White hit a few down the ground.
Yeah, I mean, we were enjoying it down there as well in the dressing room. It's always nice when Whitey gets a few. Swings the willow.
I tell you what, if there was runs for bat speed, he'd have scored a ton. So that's nibbled away. That's going to take a bit of a chase from deep backward square coming around. They'll get 2. It's good running. It's good cricket all round. Yeah, White, for those late to the party, made 13 off 8, and Will O'Rourke made 21 not out of 22. Just while we are on Yorkshire's top all-time T20 wicket takers, should be said that Don Bess is on that list as well. He's recently gone past 50. Bess is 8th with 52. There's Steve Patterson and David Willey between Bess's 52 and Thompson in 5th on 91. Straight to short mid-wicket, another single. So it's the end of a good over from White, who has been a very dependable performer for Yorkshire in this format this season. 6 overs gone, 38 for 1. White has bowled 3 of them, and he's bowled 3 of them very nicely there.
Yeah, fantastic from Whitey there. He's 3 overs for not very many.
Now, Will O'Rourke's bowled 2 that have gone for 14. Thompson's bowled 1. Unsurprisingly, spin into the attack with the power play gone. 1 for 20 off 3, by the way, for White. So I'd be very happy with that. Of course, the context, though, for Yorkshire and the problem for Yorkshire is putting just 128 on the board. But gun leg spin can make a real difference to the nature of a T20 contest. That's what Jaffa Johan will be looking to do here. The best in the blast this season of 4 for 27 in the home win against Leicestershire. Didn't take a wicket in his first 3 blast games, but his last 3 he's been in much better form. Starts with being smashed away through the covers for 4. That's a really nice shot from Ollie Robinson. Just slightly struggled for boundaries in the early part of this innings, Durham. Of course, there's not too much pressure on the rate, but that will help the visitors.
Yeah, just work that through the covers there from Robinson. Touch of width from Jaff.
A little shorter from Chauhan. This time the sweeper will be able to stop that and keep it to 1. Durham looking to make it 3 wins in a row today and 4 wins from 6. Remember that these two sides meet in a rematch in 5 days' time. It's part of back-to-back meetings across what is a 14-match last group stage. They'll play at Seat Unique Riverside on Friday the 20th of June. And then Yorkshire are back swiftly into county championship action against Nottinghamshire at Trent Bridge on Sunday the 22nd in a week's time. Guided into the gap by Lees. Half thought of 2, but instead take a trotted single, this pair, who have rebuilt in a really calm and steady and sensible way after the loss of Clark. Would have been all too aware that the main way Yorkshire probably win this game is bowling Durham out. Goes on the reverse, and it's straight to short third. Lovely catch diving forward. Made it look easier than it was. Jaffa Chauhan strikes. Yorkshire do have a second wicket just to try and keep themselves in this contest. Goes on the reverse, Robinson. A well-timed leap forward means that it is 44 for 2.
Very elegant from the big man there. Reverse sweep, just not quite got it. Michael, you're asking for wickets there, and we've got one.
Yeah, well, Yorkshire badly needed a wicket, and ask and the universe shall produce. 36 added for that second wicket. Yeah, it is very difficult, particularly when you think of how deep teams bat these days, the amount of quality hitters they've got right the way down, that Yorkshire win this game without either bowling Durham out or coming very close to doing so. So even more so than normal, wickets almost more important than keeping it tight. Of course, both are very much needed. Colin Ackerman out there now, facing Chauhan and immediately off the mark. Ackerman, a 34-year-old all-rounder who was vice-captain of South Africa's squad at the 2010 Under-19 World Cup a long, long time ago, and then since then has played in T20Is and ODIs for the Netherlands. Knows Ryan Campbell very well from his time there. Campbell, of course, once upon a time had a very impressive spell coaching the Dutch before becoming head coach at Durham. Straight down the ground from Lees. You'd imagine Lees isn't going to change his way of playing at all here. There's no real need for him to. End of the over. Good over for Jaffa Chauhan. He concedes 8, picks up a wicket. 7 overs gone, 46 for 2. Delighted to say we've got Yorkshire bowler Ben Cliff alongside us, and I know it's not your favourite thing to talk about, but I'm probably contractually obligated to ask you, but where are we up to with the rehab, with returns to play? I know you said there's a couple of 4-day twos games that you might have your eye on.
Yeah, in the coming weeks, hopefully be involved in them. I actually spoke to S&Cs yet, but that's what I'm thinking. Had a decent ball before the game here. Yeah, just chomping at the bit really. Can't wait to get going, but it's looking promising.
And you were saying you're bowling there in and around 80%?
Yeah, about that. It's just building up, and like anything, that's what takes the time, I guess.
Change of ends for Thompson. He'll bowl from now the rugby ground end. Start with one that Lees was eager to make sure that he hadn't got anything on. It's kind of cut him in half from Thompson. Yeah, it's difficult, of course, as a quick bowler. You have to be so careful with not rushing that rehab, otherwise it can make an injury twice or 3 times worse.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to be quite delicate with them.
Some back of a length. Just worked through deep backward square for 1. Yeah, was chatting briefly with Will Uxton and James Wharton just before the T20 on Friday, and one of them just turned to me and said, well, it's easy for us. We've just, when we're back from injury, we've just got to pick up a bat and get in the net. 20 minutes later, you refine your time. Whereas you get injured as a quick bowler, it's such a more detailed, intricate process of having to build that up bit by bit by bit. That's the road that Pencliffe alongside me is on. It's great to have him in the commentary box for now. So that's to mid-on for 1. Just patient accumulation here from this pair, and Durham don't necessarily need anything too different at this stage. Worth saying as well, while we've got him alongside, a little bit of news out from the club relatively recently that Pencliffe has signed another 2 years through to 2027. Assume you're pretty chuffed about that?
Yeah, definitely. Over the moon. Over the moon, yeah. Just can't wait to get back out there.
Thompson in again. This will be another single. This time they do want to, because it's right between the 2 fielders. And despite the very best efforts of Don Best, there was always 2 there. And that brings 50 up for Durham. Comes up in the 8th over. Lees has got 24 of them against his old club. Of course, was so impressive against Yorkshire in the championship game between these 2 earlier on in the season. This time Lees gets good clobber on that, and it's very neatly fielded in front of us by Wharton. So that'll be 2 more to the score. Lees giving Yorkshire's boundary riders plenty of work in front of us.
A tidy piece of fielding there from Watts. Does well to keep it in, and lovely roll to go with it.
Give him, what would you give him for both style and effectiveness there? 8.5 out of 10. You just turn around and stand up and do the pirouette that you see them doing the gymnastics afterwards. All jokes aside, very good from Wharton. Again, Lees find runs here. It's a curious field set from Thompson for Lees there. We'll come back to it when he's back on, but it's near enough everybody out on the leg side, everybody up on the offside. I guess he's trying to bowl nice and tight, nice and straight, and force him to do something different.
Yeah, looking to use the pitch really, and his, like I say, his back of the hands, his variations, he'll look to use those, and obviously wanted to get hit out to that leg side.
53 for 2 off 8 then. So right now, Durham are scoring it at near enough exactly on the required rate. Yorkshire will be happy with the fact that their bowlers are putting up a good fight after managing just 1-2-8 with a bat. Chauhan on once more. This time is guided away by Lees for 1. They're going to come back for 2. And it did need a big old dive from Lees. There was a moment of real hesitation between Lees and Ackerman here. The old never run off a misfield. He's had to really, really scamper. It's a moment where you could see he realised he might be in trouble. Sutherland with the backup fielding. That's out to cover point from Lees. And again is reminding Yorkshire fans of what they already knew, which is what a classy player he is. Of course, back-to-back county championship titles won with Yorkshire once upon a time. And then test player as well. Little too short from Chauhan, who slightly got away with this, straight to White.
Yeah, he's playing nicely, Lees. He's not really taking a risk. Captain's knock, knows what he needs to do to get his team over the line here.
And I guess that's that's also where it's up to Yorkshire from a tactics point of view. How can they force Lees to take a risk he doesn't want to take? That's just a way for one more. And it's even tougher, of course, when you've only got 1-2-8 on the board. Yeah, it's trying to force that issue.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. When you don't have a big score and you're constantly thinking, how can we do this, how can we do that, when the batsmen, they know pretty clearly what they need to be getting on with.
Straight back to Chauhan. Fields nicely off his own bowling. It's been a tidy stint so far from the young leg spinner. I know we've got plenty of advice behind the scenes over the years from Adil Rashid at Yorkshire. Pretty handy to have as a mentor, to say the very least. Short, horrid delivery. Smashed straight to Luxton at deep backward square for 1. So end of the 9th over, 58 for 2 off 9. After a few more thoughts about what he's seen so far from an impressive effort by Yorkshire's bowlers from Ben Cliff, he'll be joined by Aaron Viles.
So we will have a change of bowling from the rugby ground end. It will be Dom Best for the first time here, gets a rich round of applause. Good afternoon, Ben.
Afternoon, Aaron. How are you doing?
Yeah, very good actually. This has been a good start from Yorkshire. It's just the wickets, isn't it, which is the issue at the moment. Alex Lees and Colin Ackerman very happy to just churn out the runs at this stage.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Like I say, they're cracking on with the job they need to be doing, and hopefully we can get another breakthrough.
Well, here is Dom Best looking for that breakthrough. Ackerman on that occasion just steps into the shot and guides it down the ground. And in terms of wicket-taking options, Dom Best here is quite a good one to utilise, isn't it, in terms of the matchup with the left-handed Alex Lees?
Yeah, definitely. He'll be happy coming on against Lees, and he's, like I say, he's got a lot of variations, a lot of tricks up his sleeve, Bessie, so he'll be looking to use those with no doubt.
He certainly will. Just surveying the field here is Alex Lees. Oh, and he goes aerial. Shouts of catch it behind the stumps there from Jonny Bairstow as the ball makes its way over to James Wharton, who I must say, Ben, has fielded quite exceptionally. I've been up here on the balcony just watching, observing the passage of play, but he is racing around like a whippet at the moment, and Dom Best has bowled a full toss there, which will just be the 1 run.
Yeah, he's not a bad fielder, Warts. Covers ground pretty quickly. He's got a good set of hands. He might not tell you that, though.
Very modest individual, isn't he, Mr. Wharton? Quick single taken. Slight bit of hesitation there between Ackerman and Alex Lees. Slight shy at the stumps there from Will Sutherland.
He'll be looking to get through his overs pretty quickly here, Bessie. Ooh, run.
And gone. Dom Best does get the breakthrough that Yorkshire so desperately required. It's Colin Ackerman. He's edged behind. Sharp catch there from Jonny Bairstow behind the stumps. Durham fall to 63 for 3. And, well, we said Dom Best would be a pretty handy option, Ben Cliff. It's proven to be the right one.
Yes, it has. I think he's just done something different with his action here, Bessie. I say lots of tricks up his sleeve, just stop a touch, put Ackerman off, and little nick through to Bairstow behind the stumps. Yeah, he'll be looking to get through his overs quite quickly and unsettle the batsman, I've noticed.
Yeah, and as a result of that, it will be Will Rhodes, the former Yorkshireman. Of course, played many a season for the Bear and Ragged staff of Warwickshire as well. Didn't play too much T20 cricket by comparison for the Bears, but he's been a fine addition into this batting lineup for Durham so far in 2025. So, again, it's a nice little matchup this for Dom Best. Bowling to the left-hander. Rhodes does like to take the attack to spin, so again, we might see a slight acceleration in the run rate here from the visitors, but Tell you what, Dom Bess, he's such a good T20 bowler.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. I mean, he's been fantastic every year, but especially in this campaign, he's started really well and picking up wickets again. 2 lefties for him.
Starts off with a wide to Will Rhodes.
I'm sure the 2 ex-Yorkshiremen will love to see Durham over the line here.
That's a lovely shot, isn't it, from Will Rhodes to get off the mark. Steps into the shots, drills it down the ground, and it will be a single to round out the over. So Yorkshire moving up to a score of 65 for 3 after 10 overs. So, sorry, Durham, that is 65 for 3. The requirement, of course, just 129 runs. So by my maths, they're pretty much there or thereabouts in terms of the run rate so far. Of course, we'll see a little bit of acceleration as Adam Lyth comes on to bowl here from the City end.
Yeah, you talk about your 2 lefties and your off spinners. Here you go, Adam Lyth. Hopefully, again, looking to maybe find a nick. 1 straight up.
Well, yeah, let's see what Adam Lyth has got in store for us here. Coming around the wicket to the left-handed Rhodes. Just pushes that one back to the bowler.
That's a nice start from Lythy.
That one's slightly shorter. Rhodes attempts to pull it around the corner. Quick single taken. In fairness, that's a really good single between Lees and Rhodes. It's an early call. It's one of those where if there's a slight moment of doubt, you can see the run out being affected, but no danger there whatsoever.
Yeah. Too comfortable there. Lee's watching it all the way.
Well, your reaction there, Ben, said it all. A little bit close, that, wasn't it? Some good bowling here from Adam Lyth.
Wasn't too convincing, but it's gone through mid-wicket for a single.
Yeah, just keeping the scoreboard ticking, isn't it, here for Durham. Slight change in the field. Jaffa Chauhan comes across to backward points. Milan goes into a short catching cover position as Lyth again bowls here to Will Rhodes. Looks very comfortable in the early stages of the innings, does Will Rhodes. One of those players who you can always rely on to just get some easy runs, and that's exactly what Durham require at this stage. Half stop there by the bowler will just be a single on that delivery.
Strong shot down the ground there from Lees. Lyth with half a hand.
Bet that one will have really stung, wouldn't it? Adam Lyth just drilled into the palms there of the Yorkshire spin bowler. Will Rhodes yet again making it look very, very easy out there indeed. So it's a single to end out the over. Durham move up to 70 for 3. Good start, though, that from Adam Lyth. We spoke about almost having to bowl in partnerships and tandem. So important, isn't it, in T20 cricket, especially when you've got a low total to defend. It's all well and good having Dom Bess one end, getting the wicket of Ackerman and applying the pressure. If the next over goes for 20 runs or so, all of a sudden, all of that hard work is undone. So, great follow-up that from the ever-present Adam Lyth. Great crowd in here as well today at York Cricket Club.
Fantastic.
Well, that's a crowd catch there from Dom Bess. Almost collides with Alex Lees at the non-striker's end. Has a little bit of a chuckle there with the former Yorkshire man. That one very full and drilled back down the ground towards James Wharton, who's been a very active character, as we've said.
Yeah, pretty good walks today. Pretty good. Just on York, it's always fantastic here. It's always a great crowd and people love coming.
That one swept around the corner. Chauhan attempts to dive to his right-hand side. Will just be a single. Yeah, we were here a little bit earlier on in the season for the Leicestershire game in the Women's Metrobank One Day Cup, and it's just a stunning venue. It's a stunning city, let's face it. Went to York Minster today, had a little look around the city. It's best that one is short and dispatched. That is disdainful from Will Rhodes. Real area of strength, playing it off the back foot and punching it through the covers for 4 more.
Yeah, it's a nice shot there from Rhodes. Just rocks back, touch of room, through the covers for 4. Big gap out there.
Yeah, plenty of space, isn't there? Best responds well. Will just be a single on that occasion as Dawid Milan does the fielding. Yeah, it's just a glorious place for a day trip, I think. York, you've got the Viking Centre as well, Jorvik.
Yeah.
You've got all the lovely walls, you've got the river walk down the Ouse. Stunning, stunning part of the country. Alex Lees this time is the man to carve it away through that region. Sutherland just about stops it, prevents the boundary, but it will be 2 runs in the end. So that will signal the end of the over. 12 gone, and Durham are 79 for 3. So returning here from the city end will be Will O'Rourke as Ben Cliff departs, and the ever-brilliant Michael McCann rejoins me here in the commentary position.
Stop it, Aaron Viles. Big thank you to Ben Cliff. It's always great to have perspective from the players' side of things. Great to have him along for the first 12 overs of this run chase of a game that's becoming something of a low-scoring thriller. All the pre-match chat at York was about the boundaries being on the smaller side, this wicket being something of a belter, and the contest has played out very differently.
It has. We're very nicely poised, aren't we? Just take, say, a couple of wickets falling here, and Yorkshire will fancy their chances. O'Rourke bangs that one in a little bit shorter, and Will Rhodes just guides it, deflects it deftly off the bat face down towards Jack White, to almost set the tone, didn't he? With that outstanding spell of bowling in the power play, got the key wickets of Graham Clark, a man who always tends to score run after run after run against the White Rose. So to see the back of him relatively quickly was a big bonus, and since then it's been relatively tight.
Yeah, 2 former Yorkshire players looking to hurt their old county here. That sounded very good off the bat, and it's very well stopped out there. 2 run, pretty good cricket all round.
Certainly is. It was Don Bess.
Yeah, so the required run rate is at a very manageable level for the visitors here. Just hovering around it, if not above 7. That's short, well pulled by Lees, but had to control it because there was deep square leg out there. So the equation hasn't necessarily changed from what I said earlier. If Yorkshire are going to win this game, they've got to bowl Durham out, or they've got to come very close to doing so, to be perfectly honest. So that's just worked away for 1 more. Lees is key here, you've got to say, because it's clear that this pitch is not playing quite as well as many thought it might, including yours truly. Lees has 41 off 34. Now, if he goes, suddenly things get a bit tougher for that middle order.
Well, that's an excellent shot, isn't it, from Alex Lees. Climbs into that one, pulls it around the corner, and he moves closer to what would be a richly deserved half-century here at York Cricket Club. Wasn't the right delivery that from Will O'Rourke, attempting something a little bit different. Looking to just get it back into the midriff of the Durham skipper. That's easy pickings, isn't it, for a man of Alex Lees' calibre and acumen. Durham now 88 for 3. Just 41 runs away from the victory. How does O'Rourke respond after that one? He pitches up a little bit fuller. That one played almost nonchalantly along the turf by Alex Lees. And that will be the end of the 13th over. Durham 89 for 3. They require 40 runs for the victory from the final 7 overs.
He's not actually had the best blast so far, Alex Lees. Scores of 4, 16, 21, 1 and 29, giving you 71 runs in 5 innings before today. But today, across both teams, he's looked comfortably the most impressive and in-control batter. It's been a really impressive innings from him that right now means that Durham have complete control of the contest. I referenced earlier the many runs he made against Yorkshire in the county championship earlier this season. He's certainly haunting his old county again here as Bess comes in from the rugby ground end.
Just punches that one off the back foot, doesn't he, Alex Lees? Call of a quick 2, but I'll tell you what, the outfielding from Yorkshire in the past 5 to 6 overs, especially from Wharton and Sutherland, has been absolutely exceptional. Especially Wharton. Was speaking with Ben Cliff about that a little bit earlier. Always attacks the ball so aggressively. It's what you want to see from the fielding side, and this is what the Yorkshire fans will want to see from Dom Bess. It's been an excellent start, this. Lovely bit of camera work there as well to get shot of James Wharton. Really has been full of energy and sprite so far. That's a full toss from Bessons. Guess who it's dribbled along the carpet to? It is, of course, James Wharton, who does the fielding on that occasion as well.
Yeah, I've seen a few people saying, nice to have players on commentary, we better to have them out there. I can assure you, Ben Cliff is doing everything he can to be. That's way for one more. They are going to scamper back for 2. Nothing that Yorkshire could really do about that. It's interesting, it reminds me as well of seeing Rachel Slater, Yorkshire's women's all-rounder, doing this on this very ground in York earlier on this season. I watched Cliff today with the sprints, with bowling to a mitt. There's an element of it, that rehab, that's kind of miserable. It's tough. And trust me when I say it, sorry, as that's worked away for one more. There's nothing they would like to more than to be out there contributing for their side. But speaking of contributing, Alex Lees certainly has contributed. He right now, more than anyone else, is the reason why Durham are in control of this run chase. A 39-ball 50 on a ground that is looking tough to score on.
Yeah, he's been outstanding, hasn't he? So far, the Durham captain also rounds out the over. So Durham 94 for 3 after 14. Alex Lees bringing up what was another fine half century on what's been a pretty difficult day for batting in the end.
Yeah, 4 fours for Lees. He hasn't hit a 6, and Yorkshire didn't hit a 6 either. We're still yet to see one in the game. One thing that's been noticeable about Lees, though, he's kept his dot ball percentage pretty low. He's worked the ball around really, really nicely. He's actually hit 36 off 35 if you take out the 4 boundaries that he's hit. So even when you take out those 4 fours, he's actually scoring it above a run a ball, which reflects the fact that he's really punched the ball around nicely into those gaps. Thompson's back. 6 overs left. Yorkshire need wickets, particularly Lees. There's plenty of batting depth to come for Durham.
It's a good start, that, isn't it, from Thompson? Keeping Lees on his toes. I mean, that is really impressive, to be honest, in terms of that dot ball percentage and scoring rate. It's something which Dr. Jane Powell always talks about here on the Vertu live stream, and it's a case of the unsung art, isn't it, in T20 cricket. Of course, you want your boundary strikers to hit those 4s and 6s, but you've got to constantly churn out those 1s and 2s, put the fielding side under pressure. Oh, and that's flashed away off the outside edge. Will be a fortuitous 4 for Will Rhodes as Durham inch closer to 3 figures. They inch ever closer to what would be another very impressive victory. They're 99 for 3 here in the 15th over.
Yeah, that is a touch of fortune. We've talked about moral victories earlier on in the piece. Jordan Thompson still having to wait a little longer for his first last wicket of the season, but it's encouraging signs at least.
Thompson again, that's another excellent delivery. Good take as well by Jonny Bairstow. As the wind just picks up here in York. Quite a few angry clouds overhead as well. For the first time, the sun has disappeared for quite a prolonged amount of time. Hopefully no rain forecasted on the radar. Of course, in terms of DLS, if it was to get to that stage, Durham well ahead at this stage. It's Thompson to Rhodes. It's just a carbon copy, isn't it?
Yeah, the one thing Yorkshire can take from this, if they do end up losing this, which, you know, Durham are heavy favourites from here, needing less than a runner ball with 7 wickets in hand, is with the ball in the field, they've certainly made Durham had to fight and work to get to what is a relatively low score. And Thompson being back on the park and bowling well is another big plus for Yorkshire, who of course face these same opponents in 5 days' time. And by that point, if Yorkshire lose today, it's almost into must-win territory.
That one's shorter from Thompson, a little bit of hesitation as he scarpers onto the ball. Not what Durham need at this stage. One of those run-outs which we saw in the game yesterday between the Bears and the Outlaws at Edgbaston. We'll see the replay here. Rose just dancing down the track. Lee's thinking about the sharp single and wisely turns back on that one. Never a run-on in that instance. So Durham remain 99 for 3. And yeah, completely echo that sentiment, Michael. Friday really is a must-win. As Rhodes works that away out towards forward square leg. And they will come back for a comfortable 2. So the 100 is up for Durham. That is also the end of the over. The visitors 101 for 3. They will require 28 runs off the final 30 deliveries.
Yeah, the game should be Durham's, but the beauty of live sport is the unpredictability. Yorkshire will feel like one big over, pick up a couple of wickets, particularly remove Lee's, who's looked very good for his 51 off 40. And as I referred to, has knocked the ball around into the gaps really comfortably, as many of the best players you see will do. They score without necessarily having to take a high degree of risk. And that's been probably the most impressive thing that I've seen from Lee's today. Jack White is on from the rugby ground end. It's final over. And he's getting absolutely smashed out to long on the bounce. Sutherland with the fielding, and that has been another frustration for Yorkshire in this T20 campaign, which is Will Sutherland's suspected broken toe, has meant that Yorkshire have not seen anything with him with the ball since game 3. So that's been, in fact, beg your pardon, he's only bowled in the first 2 games, so that's been a big, big loss. Still on the park, there is a hitter, but as well as being a very good fielder, robbed of his all-round abilities for Yorkshire in this competition. Nice guided square drive for 1. Yeah, right now, Yorkshire have got to do something to force the issue. Otherwise, Rhodes and Lees should coast this home.
Yeah, it is. It's getting to the stage now, isn't it? Wickets need to fall very, very quickly if this isn't to be a comfortable win for Durham. Just looking at the field placement here, plenty of protection on the onside here. So 3 boundary riders. Sutherland, it's a wide-ish long on.
everybody on the leg side is back. Not something you see too often. And offering protection for a shot like that. We've mentioned Wharton's been a busy bee in the field. And he is so in front of us again. They do get 2 though. But almost, not quite, but almost getting to that stage where you wonder whether Yorkshire got to try something a little bit funkier with the field. Try and do something to force one of these 2 players out of their comfort zone, because right now, 2 products of the Yorkshire Academy are sitting at home against their old team. Will Rhodes, of course, an all-rounder from Nottingham, but played for Yorkshire between 2013 and 2017. Alex Lees came right through the Yorkshire system from in the pathway in 2006, as Milan is having a chat with the umpire. Not entirely sure what that's about.
I think Yorkshire have had too many fielders behind square leg. We've seen that a couple of times in the Blast, so this will be
I think you're right,
a free hit. Shoham was actually on the rope there. He should have been in the circle, so a needless no ball here for Yorkshire, and it will be a free hit to Alex Lees.
Yeah, you're right. Spot on. So, free hit time. And the free hit's gone very, very high and very, very far. It's the first 6 of the contest. Lovely shot from Alex Lees, who continues to power on, and given the freedom of the free hit, brings out some of his best hitting, and thankfully the spectators just about got out of the way of it.
And that is a lusty blow, isn't it, from Alex Lees. And the free hit in the end is costly.
And the following ball is thumped towards Wharton, who fields on the bounce. So suddenly, with that no ball, the free hit going for 6, the victory target feels increasingly close for Durham now, who are just 14 runs away.
And in terms of the run chase as well, it hasn't been the barnstorming effort which a lot of us thought would have played out, as White bowls here to Will Rhodes, sets himself and plays a very deft shot, only as far as the fielder, but it's just been well paced. In terms of the tempo, it wasn't a big total, and one of the real pitfalls in T20 cricket is you go far too hard, far too quickly in the power play, you lose 4 or 5 wickets in clumps, and all of a sudden you're facing a very, very difficult chase, and that hasn't been the case. That is the real bonus of having someone of Alex Lees' calmness, coolness and temperament. He's played a very classy hand here for the men in yellow.
Straight at backward point. There is a shy, and the shy misses. And now Sutherland has to come in from long on to back up. So that's another single to it. So 16 overs gone. And Jack White concedes total from that over. I've got it as 12. And it suddenly brings victory very, very close indeed. 115 for 3 then, off 15. 115 for 3 off 15. Just another 13 runs required here. Remember, your next Vertu live stream after this, Yorkshire's next home game, sees them play Worcestershire Rapids at Headingley, the women's team on Friday the 27th of June, the men's team next home on Sunday the 29th. Starting a Rothesay County Championship game against Essex here at York. Before then, the men are away in the T20 format at Durham in 5 days' time, and the women are away next Saturday, the 21st of June, against the Derbyshire Falcons. For now, Yorkshire looking for a bit of a miracle. And they've gone back to O'Rourke, understandable given the circumstances. Rhodes just guides that one away, pats it down.
Well, Lee's just having a chat here with Will Rhodes, whether or not he's just saying, let's try and finish this off a little bit quicker. Think of that net run rate. course, we spoke right at the start of the programme. It's so tense and tight, isn't it, in the North Group? I mean, hardly any points separating 7 teams at the moment.
Helps that around the corner. Trahan down at deep fine legs, so that will be 1. I wonder whether, because Lees has faced quite a bit of O'Rourke in this innings, it was also a bit of advice about how to deal with the extra pace that O'Rourke offers. O'Rourke was actually talking about the death on Friday after Yorkshire conceded 76 in their last 5. He said, I know that's something we've got to look at as a bowling unit and try and close out games better. We know through T20 cricket that the run rate can get out of control. The bowlers bowl well, and then the pressure can mount instead. It didn't really fall our way at the end. Half-death situation here for O'Rourke. We'll go for another single. 12 to win of 21. 2 sixes will finish it here, but given the methodical and largely risk-averse, and I don't mean that as an insult, I mean it as a huge compliment to Alex Lees, the way he and Rhodes have gone about it. I would slightly be surprised if it did finish that way. It's been a very impressive, methodical run chase.
It has. I think that's exactly how I'd describe it, to be honest. It's been a real intelligent innings so far, put together by Alex Lees in particular, as O'Rourke bowls here to Rhodes. Rhodes absolutely tonks that. 1 bounce over the rope for 4 into the spectators in that sea of blue over there in the temporary stand. And, well, that was disdainful, wasn't it, from the former Warwickshire and Yorkshire man?
Well, it's almost like they heard us. But that being said, it was a full toss from O'Rourke. It was there to be hit. It was hit on merit, not because of the adrenaline or the game situation changing the way Rhodes batted. He just got a bad ball and gave it the treatment that it deserved. And now victory is moving quickly into view. It's just 8 to win. It'll stay at 8 to win for now after that miscue from Rhodes. He has 26 at just slightly greater than a runner ball.
And as much as we talk about Alex Lees, of course, he will get the lion's share of the plaudits in this run chase. A very well-made 62. Will Rhodes has been a really good foil, in my opinion, in terms of just, again, having that level-headedness, that cricketing intelligence and IQ, just to not go too hammer and tongs, just whittle away and frustrate the Yorkshire bowlers. And look at that for a shot. Deflected off the full face of the bat down towards Jack White. Will be another single, and it will be the end of the over as well. So Durham 122 for 3. They require 7 runs for victory from the final 3 overs of the game.
Yeah, these two as well, should be said, came together at 63 for 3 when Best got Ackerman. So they've put on without taking a high degree of risk at all. It's been a real lesson for the youngsters to watch on a slightly tricky pitch. They have added 59 from 7 overs. So they're actually scoring at 8.5 and over, but without necessarily taking undue risk. It's always that game, isn't it, with the one chance saloon nature of batting, balancing risk and reward, and these two have done it very impressively. Thompson has still not got his last wicket this season, but he's been a big plus in Yorkshire's copybook today. None for 18 from his 3 overs. He's on to complete here, and he's being turned around the corner for 1. So 6 to win. So for the first time, victory can be achieved in a single blow, where Alex Lees to decide to finish it off that way. Lees, who has 62 not out, he's been very impressive. And you think that Yorkshire's top scorer was James Wharton with 26 off 23. Rhodes on 27. Lees has stood tall amongst the batters today for both sides. But he might have got out. He surely has. Lees is gone. Well, the visiting captain, the former Yorkshire captain as well, of course, has been magnificent in the run chase. But he will not be the man to finish it off. Gives the simplest of catches to Dom Bess. And Jordan Thompson Yorkshire's top wicket taker in the Blast last season, has a wicket on his first appearance of this campaign in the T20 format. Lee's gone for a very well-made 62 off 46.
And nice to see this as well here as Alex Lees is applauded off by the Yorkshire faithful here in Clifton. He has batted superbly today. He's shouldered the responsibility. He's worn all of that potential pressure and completely dissipated it. And it will be Jimmy Neesham who enters the middle. We'll just take a quick replay of the catch there from Dom Best. Just spooned up, didn't it, from Alex Lees. Didn't have the full conviction on that particular strike. I think his eyes lit up. I think he's looking to win it in style. But if one man is to win it with one huge hammer blow, it is Jimmy Neesham. He's known to entertain, isn't he?
Neesham made 50 not out last time out against Northants on Friday. He left the mark immediately here with a single. 5 to win. Great credit to Thompson there as well, because it was a nicely disguised slower ball that caught Lees out, had Lees through the shot very early. And that's encouraging signs for Yorkshire supporters at least to see Jordan Thompson back on the park in the T20 format and picking up on where he's left off in previous campaigns. Has always been an impressive, dependable T20 and indeed all format performer for Yorkshire. Another slow ball from Thompson and flashed away through the covers. Big chase needed from Bess. He gets there and keeps it to 2. Yorkshire doing their best to delay the inevitable. Just 3 to win now from 14. And for now, opting not to do the classic of bringing everybody up. It will be, surely, we can say with certainty now, a 4th win from 6 for Durham and a 2nd win from 7 will be Yorkshire's record that they're left with after defeat here. So again, away for a single. Reminder, these sides meet again in 5 days' time in a reverse fixture between the pair. Just 2 to win. Now, does Durham look to finish it in style? Milan is bringing a couple more up into the ring now, and he's going to bring up deep point as well. So he's only got deep square leg and deep backward square leg out. Thompson in, 2 to win. And this will be the winning runs. Smashed down the ground. Finished in style by Jimmy Neesham. Durham deservedly take victory at York. Winners by 6 wickets with 2 overs to spare. Powered by a T20 best of 5 for 17 from Matt Potts with the ball. And then an excellent 62 from the former Yorkshire captain Alex Lees. Gives Durham a 3rd win in a row and a 4th win from 6. Back-to-back defeats for Yorkshire, who find themselves in something of a pickle in the T20 format with 2 wins from 7 now.
Yeah, it's a very, very difficult position to try and rescue now for Yorkshire. Of course, it all starts at the Riverside. They've got to try and get revenge against this very prolific and proficient Durham outfit. I mean, Durham in recent years in the Blast haven't been great by their standards. I think in the mid-2010s, and Durham had some serious players and were a real threat in the format. And I'll tell you what, under Ryan Campbell, there's this renewed sense of optimism with regards to their T20 Blast campaign. I think they've got a really well-balanced side. We've seen that today with the batting of Alex Lees and, of course, Will Rhodes, Jimmy Neesham. The firepower in that middle order is tremendous. Even though we didn't see the likes of Clark and Robinson fire today, or Ackerman, they've also got plenty of power in the tank. And I said it right at the start of the programme. Durham's bowling is some of the best in the country. In terms of the options, in terms of the variety, you've got Potts with the pace. You've got Ben Rain bowling stump to stump with the keeper up. You've got Callum Parkinson, a power play specialist spin bowler. And then, of course, Nathan Souter with his leg spin and Kiwi seam options in Jimmy Neesham and Zach Falk. So congratulations to Durham. It's a thoroughly deserved victory. Commiserations to Yorkshire. And all the White Rose can do is make amends begins up in the northeast in 5 days' time.
Yeah, you mentioned the second part of a Durham double header. That's on Friday, the 20th of June, the same day that the England versus India men's test match starts at Headingley as well. The Yorkshire women's next game is away at the Derbyshire Falcons, who they've already beaten 3 times this season. That's on Saturday the 21st. And then Yorkshire are back into county championship action on Sunday the 22nd of June when travelling to face Nottinghamshire at Trent Bridge. After that, the women play against the Worcestershire Rapids at Headingley. That's our next Vertu live stream. We do look forward to having your company for that one. And then on Sunday the 29th of June, the men are in championship action against Essex here at York, which has been such a fantastic host for today's fixture, before June rounds off with the women facing the Northamptonshire Steelbacks away on Sunday the 29th of June. Thank you very much to Ben Cliff for his stint during the second innings as our guest commentator. Thank you very much to the camera operators and all the hard-working production crew behind the scenes here at Yorkshire to bring this Vertu live stream live, free of charge, to you wherever you are across the world. The scorecard just running through there confirms the tale of the tape. A neat 31 not out of 34. Will Rhodes deserves a mention as well. He, alongside fellow former Yorkshire player Alex Lees, both hurt their old team. Wickets for White, Thompson, Chauhan and Best, but it was always going to be difficult to defend such a low total as that. Thank you very much to Aaron Vars for his company alongside me. We do look forward to seeing you again soon on another Vertu live stream. But for now, from here at York, we'll leave you with the best bits of this one.